So we can do what's Hondo on the mic. From Leo's Paradise, random stream drop like a Dragon Ball fight. No lie, plan stream stacking up, but here's a twist in time. Freestyling on the deck like Luffy's punchlines. Up the channel's faster than Zoro sword swings. Gaming pop culture, it's the chaos he brings. Talking movie reboots, superhero hype. Hondo passing the mic, now Bishop's in sight. Cutting flip screen, frame by frame, I align. Laying bass lines heavy, keep the rhythm divine. Dropping 5 videos, can't keep up with the pace. Pass the mic back, Leo's leading the chase. Off the rails, no script, just a freestyle ride. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Playing the knob, Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life. No script, just a freestyle ride. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Planning on Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life. The rails, no script, just a freestyle ride. Nerdcore king, let the randomness collide. Planning on Leo's got the flow to entice. It's words of paradise, the chaos comes to life.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour. How are all you vital idols doing? We have got a hell of a show for you today. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we got what's the title. Zohran Mamdani is letting New York burn to the ground. In fact, he's advocating for it. Let's be honest, dude is just an absolute puppet. But we got so much more than that. We're going to cover Leaflet covering an Andrew Wilson debate, billionaires who want us homeless, the visa stuff that's in the title. So much, and we got ourselves about 3 hours and 45 minutes to do it. Why 3 hours and 45 minutes? Leon, that's oddly specific, because I'm going to be on Mike Hollow's show immediately following the lunch hour today. Mike Hollow and I, we go back. He a old dear friend of mine, and by old dear friend, I mean somebody who I've had a very interesting relationship with on this platform. Dude is a stone cold killer. And he's been on my show multiple times. This will be my first time on his show. So we got a lot to cover in limited time. That being said, it is the lunch hour. I hope y'all getting your protein. I got my green tea. No sugar. And I'm doing my best to be as mentally clarity-ified for you guys. See, I'm making up new words and shit. Because I ain't slept yet. That's right. Your boy pulled an all-nighter. I wrapped up my Final Fantasy stream at like 5 a.m. Tried to sleep. And it just wasn't coming, man. It has been a rough one, let me tell you. But it ain't gonna stop me. We got content, baby. Alrighty, let's see who is up in this bitch. We got Deca Striker, how you doing? C Brew is here, the Free Expression Warrior. And Free Expression Warrior, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna say this as nice as I can. Hopefully you take this the right way. I'm the most opposite motherfucker on this planet. I know your heart's in the right place. I know you're saying it out of like genuine care, but because you said look up the Kids Act, it's the new version of Kosa but beefier, I'm not gonna do it. I don't like being told what to do. I especially don't like being told what to do by my chat. So but the fact that you just said look it up, no please, no question, I'm now actively not going to do it. Again, no shade to you. I treat everybody like that, but just some information going forward. But I do appreciate you. You are my local libtard, and I do appreciate that, because I do care about diversity of thought. We got Zalozy up in here, Clip 420, Draconic, we got Butter Framed in Gold, Luffy John Jr., I'm going to call you out the same way that I just called out Free Expression Warrior. See, I'm an equal opportunity call-out artist here. I don't give a fuck about what JDA did. JDA is an irrelevant furry fucker. It means literally nothing to me. You already commented that under the video about Brittany Venti when it had literally nothing to fucking do with the video. And now you're in here talking about it when it has nothing to fucking do with what we're talking about. While I appreciate anyone and everyone willing to dunk on JDA, because the dude's a worthless fucking loser scumbag, I also prefer people stay on topic because, again, we got a show to run. That being said, fuck JDA, appreciate it. Matt Stanford is here, Golden Apples. I am feisty today, bro. I guess this is what no sleep does to a motherfucker. Golden Apples is up in this bitch. Tailfin is here. No, you're good. You're good, Luffy. Like I said, I just be calling out all sorts of motherfuckers. That's how it be. Again, I like to stay on topic. I don't like to chat trying to dictate what I talk about. I dictate what I talk about. Your job is to listen and argue with me if you think I'm wrong and suck my dick if you think I'm right. That's the way I sees it. General Kawasaki is here. What is up? Love turned up Leon. Dude, here's the dealio, crew. Here's the dealio. Like I said, I've had no sleep. In the next 4 hours, I've been awake for 24 hours straight. So I'm on a caffeine pill, a 5-hour energy, a Celsius energy drink, drinking green tea. I have another Celsius here in case I need it, another 5-hour energy, and I've got more caffeine pills. Because not only do I have this stream, then I got Mike Hollow's stream. Then from Mike Hollow's, I got our boy Zach's for What's Good Wednesday. Don't worry, I got water. I got water right here, but water won't keep me awake. But no worries, I got water. And to be fair, tea keeps you hydrated too. Green tea is fine. Point is, I got 3 streams to back to back to back, so I got to stay wired, son. Wired. Leon talking like he just railed 3 lines of coke, which I find coke to be a little bit overrated. Actually, a lot of it overrated. Coke ain't that great, man. It's not. Sallow Greenskin is here. Grave 1383. What is up? Alrighty, crew. My jokes wasn't getting through. What do you mean? Oh, I guess maybe they weren't because I don't see them. Oh, well, it is what it is. Alrighty. Like I said, we got limited time. Make sure to drop some dollary dues in the Alex Jones was right jar. Because we got to talk about the Muslim takeover of New York. Let's go.
Islamic terrorists are living in houses like this while many Americans can't afford rent. So they went and they obviously stormed these 2 guys' houses, and this is one of the houses. This is a $1.7 million basically mansion. I mean, this is.
I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Professional streamer, everybody. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with a second-hand $70 microphone and a $120 webcam. And these terrorists are living the Hassan Osama bin Laden Epstein dog shocker fucker Diddy Piker lifestyle in a fucking mansion. Living in America. Yeah, this is where we at, boys.
This house is gigantic. This is a huge house.
Good morning. On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop These.
In case you guys were unaware, there was a couple Islamic terrorist attacks in New York. That's right, New York, the city where 9/11 happened, and then about 21-ish years later, or however long it's been, 24 years, 25 years, they elect a Muslim mayor, because so much for never forget, am I right? And after these Muslim attacks, terrorist attacks, by definition, terrorism, these protests are rooted in white supremacy. You don't hate this commie fucking bootlicker enough.
Islamic takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim
And then
mayor
somebody who was Islamic threw a bomb at them. But you're not going to mention that.
of our city.
And I think it's important that he mentions that he's the first Muslim.
So Matt Stanford says Zohran will be a net positive for New York. Asmongold literally 3 months ago. Now I could be wrong because I covered a lot of Asmongold's. I covered a lot of Asmongold's coverage of Mamdani. I don't think he said he would be a net positive. What he said was he is a populist and he's winning over the people because he's good at what he does. Like, he gave accolades to Mamdani for his speaking skills, for his way to gain a populist following, for the way that he speaks to people in a way that makes them feel heard. Like, he was basically giving him all the accolades that you would give, that even I would give, let's say, Obama. I don't actively remember, and to be fair, I could be wrong, but I don't actively remember Asmongold praising any of Mamdani's policy.
Mayor of the city. I think that it's very obvious that there is a certain subset of Muslims that are in America and in Western countries that try to actively downplay any instance of bad behavior that
A certain subset. Nearly all of them. Nearly all of them. Guys, here's the dealio. I'm gonna say what nobody else besides ya boy and Nux Taku are gonna say. We are a Judeo-Christian nation. We shouldn't be allowing motherfuckers here if they're Muslim. Straight up. Sorry, you had y'all's chance. We kinda, you know what? We almost burned the bridge after you burned down our tower as part of the Pentagon and a field that really nobody ever remembers because we had some base-ass patriots that took themselves down with the plane, flight 42 or whatever it was. See, even I don't fucking remember. That's what a bad American I am. But anyway, and then we thought, you know what? Maybe we were a little bit too harsh. And we created this fancy new term, Islamophobia. Yeah, which ain't a real thing, by the way. And now look where we're at. No more second chances. Put your boy in charge. If you Muslim, ban, outski, we done. We ain't having it anymore.
Muslims do, and then immediately play it off like it's something else or try to cry Islamophobia or some other variation of that. The most ironic and funniest thing about this is that we have a bigger issue with like radical Islam and this terrorism shit than countries in the Middle East do. They're worried about sending their people up to Europe because Europe has more radical people than they have, and they're the Muslim countries. So this entire idea that it's Islamophobic to go after these terrorist people is insane.
Of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city.
Yes.
Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
So you can't sit here and be like, oh, it's so white supremacist, it's so anti-Islam, so anti-Muslim. Bitch, you won. You got elected, right? The same people are like, oh, America's so racist. If America was so goddamn racist, explain to me how Barack Obama won twice. You don't elect the first black president twice in a majority racist country. So clearly you don't live in a majority racist city. Now, frankly, if we had it my way, we would. We absolutely would. Because there's no goddamn way this dude should have ever been elected in the first place. But the fact of the matter is, this is built on lies and deceit. He is a disgusting individual, and he is a puppet for the WEF.
This is basically what happened, is that somebody did a protest, and then someone else threw a nail bomb into the protest while screaming Allahu Akbar, and they were inspired by ISIS, which is a Muslim terrorist group. And then the Muslim mayor comes up and he talks about how terrible it is that people don't like Muslims.
No. Let's phrase this properly. He doesn't just talk about how terrible it is that people don't like Muslims. He actively blames it on the concept of white supremacy. White supremacy in New York fucking City. One of the most racially diverse cities in this country. Possibly the most racially diverse city in this country. It makes about as much goddamn sense as two white redneck MAGA guys throwing a rope around Jussie Smollett's neck at 2 a.m. when going to a subway saying, this is MAGA country in fucking Chicago. Lying sack of shit.
Can you believe this? And also, if I take a step back, this isn't helping Muslims. It's not. It's just making everything worse. You don't lose anything by condemning people that are openly trying to throw bombs around and speaking in plain English about why they're doing it.
Y'all wanna know something hilarious? Let's take a look at everybody on screen right now, right? Aside from Asmongold. Let's take a look at all these individuals at this podium. What do you notice? Like what jumps out at you? I'll wait. Should be fairly obvious. Come on, y'all are better than this. I know some of you gotta have a guess. Alright, I'll just tell you. Alright, Thalo Greenskin was pretty close. Lots of bacon haters. Zalozzi says diversity. Yeah, one white cop. You got one white cop. Ironically, at this point, the white cop is the DEI hire. Like at this point, the white cop is the DEI hire. Hey, we need a white dude up in here so they know we haven't completely diversified and culturally usurped the entire fucking city.
While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed
He's
to
defending
happen.
terrorism? Yes.
Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone.
Yeah, then why aren't you condemning the Muslim dude that committed a terrorist attack during a protest in the name of ISIS? Okay, you say there's a white woman. Let's be real. I don't think this is a woman. I don't think this is a woman. And if it is a woman, they got a whole lot of Rachel Dratch going on. This looked like a dude cosplaying as a woman.
You should have just started your speech like that. It would have been fine.
I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things that I abhor. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence. Whether from protests...
New York City will never tolerate violence. Unless it's all the rapes and the murders and the stabbings that might not necessarily end in murder, but a motherfucker was still stabbed, and all the muggings and all the pickpocketings and, every single other bit of violence that they tolerate, releasing these evil, criminal, violent motherfuckers from jail and from prison 32 goddamn times. Nah, New York doesn't tolerate violence. Shut the fuck up.
Or counter-protests. Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all.
Yes.
But a few did not. Two men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City.
Attempted to bring violence to New York City. Dude can't even call out the fact that this was a literal terrorist attack. I'm not using that word lightly. This was a terrorist attack. And he softballs it. Nay, he T-balls it. I say, attempts violence. Cretin.
They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism.
Yes.
Look, I get innocent until proven guilty, but when you got a motherfucker on tape throwing a bomb and yelling Allahu Akbar, at this point I don't really think it's suspected.
Video of these two individuals throwing two devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that these were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim,
bombs,
or worse. Thanks to the swift and decisive actions of NYPD officers at the scene, both men were immediately taken into custody.
And you can see how he never even talks at all about the intent or the reason why the bombing happened. He had no problem saying that Jake Lang was a white supremacist that was anti-Muslim and that he's a Muslim and Muslims get a bunch of hate in America. And the thing is that, like, you never connect these two things, that a lot of average, reasonable people see this and they look at this and they say, why is Zohran sweeping for Muslim terrorism? Why?
And I love the fact that Asmongold says a lot of average folk. Because here's the dealio, guys. I ain't no fucking genius. No, well, I'm a pretty smart cookie. Took an IQ test, got a 135. I'm a smart cookie. But I ain't no fucking genius, okay? I'm an average dude. Maybe a slightly above average dude, but I don't want to give myself that sort of credit, because in a lot of ways, I'm a fucking moron. Most of us are fucking morons. But we average dudes and average women, and we see this shit, we're calling it out. Like, how dumb do you think the American people really are? I'm curious, because yes, I get it. There's a very insular leftist community that gives all the likes and retweets to all this gay global homo shit. But in all reality, do you actually think that this is the majority of the country? Do you think your propaganda like this still works? Dude, I just saw a statistic that not only is the amount of people who find gay marriage to be literally immoral on the rise by 30% in the US, but this is a global trend. The global homo ain't working anywhere in the first world. You think we're that stupid?
Is he trying to downplay this? Why is he spending more time talking about why Jake Lang is bad than why the people that did this threw the bomb? It's obvious. And in my opinion, the reason why is because he's a Muslim too. I think that's the reason. I think that he's sharing ethnic and also religious solidarity with them, and he's protecting.
You walk around American college and ask students what chocolate milk comes from. What percentage of answers brown cows? Seriously, well, that's a very difficult question to answer because you added the caveat seriously. Now, if it were me and I was on a college campus and someone asked me that question, I'm gonna say, yeah, they come from brown cows just to fuck with you because, homie, I'm gonna fuck up your statistics because I find it funny. Because I'm an obstinate little prick. I don't know what amount of people are doing that. Now, I will tell you, colleges are a whole lot dumber now. They've started letting in, sub 100 IQ minorities just to fill fucking quotas. So, it could be a higher number than I'd like to admit.
Their actions. I think that's what he's doing.
Cases they brought taken off of our streets.
These people put their religion above the country. And this is a huge component of what's going on, is you have people, there are some people who put their country over their religion, and you have other people that put their religion over their country. The people that put their religion over their country and end up on the side of terrorists should not be in America.
And you know what? If you're a good God-fearing Christian, then you should put your religion over your country. Absolutely you should. However, it will never conflict with the true values of this country, because this country is built on Judeo-Christian ideals and ideologies and philosophies. So by putting your religion first, you're inherently siding with at least the original intent of this country.
Period. They should not be in America at all.
I want to commend the officers who were on site. They faced a chaotic situation that very quickly could have become far more dangerous.
This is true. The officers are absolute fucking heroes. Like, I can't believe, like, they threw a bomb and this guy just ran after him. Like, that was insane.
NYPD Chief Aaron Edwards and Sergeant Luis Navarro ran towards the danger so that others could run to safety.
Yeah.
They are here with us now, and I want to thank them today publicly as I did yesterday privately, and to thank the dozens of other officers who responded without hesitation. That is courage. That is selflessness. And I'm deeply grateful to both of them and to every member of the NYPD who works every single day to keep New Yorkers safe. As the NYPD continued their investigation yesterday, they found a third suspicious device in a vehicle on East End between 81st and 82nd Street. Out of an abundance of caution, they conducted a number of limited evacuations of nearby buildings before removing the device from the area. Once the device was removed, those evacuated were allowed to return to their homes. I am grateful for their continued work to keep New Yorkers safe. And let me say this plainly. Anyone who comes to New York City to bring violence to our streets will be held accountable in accordance with the law.
Yeah.
Will they, though? Will they, though? Because last I checked, all the, the AGs and the judges and the prosecutors in New York are spending more time going after Trump for falsifying business records than they are throwing hardened criminals in prison for goddamn life. Or better yet, just giving them the fucking chair and moving on.
As this case continues to develop, I will remain in close contact and communication with our police commissioner. I want to say thank you once again to everyone who acted on Saturday to protect their fellow New Yorkers and to uphold the values of this city. Now, I would like to invite Police Commissioner Tisch to say a few words.
Well, there it is. So you've got somebody who's going up there and not saying why they threw the bomb, but spending a minute talking about how bad it is that people are racist against Muslims. I think that next time you're probably going to get a bigger protest because there's nothing that's contributed more to, your perception of Islamophobia or the negative perception of Muslims than when Muslims inside of positions of power or any degree of influence downplay and try to hide the bad actions of Muslims that are doing something wrong. And I think it's just disgusting. It's completely disgusting. I'm shocked, to be honest, that, people put up with this. I don't know why Americans put up with this.
I don't want Muslims at all. Because I want to remind y'all, the Quran says it's cool to marry 9-year-olds. This is a religion that is cool with adult males marrying children. Explain to me why we even allow that in this country. No, I don't give a fuck if not all Muslims. The fact of the matter is, your book, or your scrolls, or whatever, even paint that as an A-OK thing to do? No, sorry. I don't see, I'm not exactly a scholar on Buddhism. But I've never seen the Buddhist text be like, hey, it's alright to butt fuck 9-year-old girls. Like, that's never come up in my studies of Buddhism. Why are we allowing this?
I think that, Americans are just so massively cucked, and I think it's just white people in the West in general are just so massively cucked that they're unwilling to just come out and say very clearly, this is unacceptable, this is Muslim terrorism, why aren't you saying this, and you should leave your position if you can't say this, right? Which is clearly what it is, but there are so many white people that aren't able to do that because they're afraid of being called a name that they have no problem letting their country be run by literal bombers. These are people trying to throw bombs and kill people, and it's preferable to a white person to let that happen than to be perceived as a bad name. It's just so fucking pathetic, man. It really is. And it only radicalizes people against Muslims. It will. And I think that this definitely, like...
Good. You know what? I take it all back. I want to see more acts of terror in New York City. I want to see more radical Muslims. Because you know what? Some of y'all motherfuckers in New York, you may get bit by that bomb. Sucks to suck. You voted for this. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Because let's be real. The more we can radicalize these people, the better. You brought this on yourself. Casualty of war. It's a war that shouldn't be here, but it's a war that you opened the door to. Get good, scrub.
If you think about this event, did Zohran's approach to this, and this is an interesting way to look at it, and I'll see what you guys think about this. Did Zohran's approach to this event increase or decrease the negative sentiment for Muslims inside of America?
It increased it. I hope. If I see polling data tomorrow that says it increased it, I'm gonna beat myself off good to fall asleep tonight, just fucking jerking it to those Islamophobic numbers.
What do you think?
His stream is absolutely
Did it make it go
members only. Holy shit, we are fucking 30 minutes in.
Go up or down? Because in my opinion, I think it made it go down. Or sorry, made it go up. It increased it. Yes, exactly. And so that's the main issue, right? Is that you have somebody here who's openly justifying and trying to downplay terrorism, right? Trying to downplay terrorism and doing this. I think it's a huge problem. It also distracted libs from the war. His wife supports the October 7th attack. I mean, if his wife supports it, I think that he probably does too. I mean, that's just probably what happens. I mean, I'm not saying for sure, but like if I had to bet on it, then that's probably what I would assume. And so, yeah, it's like who doesn't like who has that opinion, right?
Yes,
some correction increased.
Absolutely. First of all, Islamophobia ain't fucking real, right? Islamophobia ain't real for the exact reason you say, Nick. A phobia is an irrational fear, right? Me being afraid of water, I understand that's irrational, right? My thalassophobia, I understand it's irrational. I can't help it. I can't be broken of it. I'm afraid of water. It is what it is. I've come to accept it. But I understand it's irrational to not want to be in a fucking 3-foot deep swimming pool. However, considering what the Quran says and the history that, you know, has happened in this country and really the world over with these Muslim terrorists. No, it's completely fucking rational.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would never, the thing is that for something like this, I would never vote for a person like this. These people shouldn't even be in America, if you want me to be honest. I don't think they should be. I think these people are total fucking terrorist sympathizers. I think that they enable terrorism, they downplay terrorism, and they want to import more terrorism. That what their mindset is, and this is maybe not Zohran specifically, but I think that a lot of people like this, their mindset is to, let's import a bunch of terrorists into the country that can be radicalized, and then make it to where you can't criticize them or they'll be radical. So basically, mass migrate a bunch of people over here who are violent, and then say that you can't criticize about you can't criticize mass migration because then the people here will be violent.
Right. You know, there's a word for this that many of us have been talking about for a long time, and we're called, you know, white supremacist conspiracy theorists. It's called the Great Replacement Theory. You do know that Muslim leaders have actively preached the Great Replacement. Like they're proud of this. They openly admit that this is their plan, and yet we still allow it to happen. Like, I'm gonna be real, guys. I already told y'all I ain't no fucking fan of Israel because, frankly, I'm America first, and all the Middle East can glass each other, and I don't give a shit. But it's real easy to be super pro-Israel just on account of I hate these guys that much fucking more.
It's absolutely fucking insane that this is happening. And, oh, my negativity is rising. I can see why. I absolutely can. So, yeah, I mean, Jake is a racist. Yeah, but so is this. This is obviously, like, I mean, and here's the issue, right, is that
it
Jake
doesn't matter if Jake Long is a racist. It's not illegal to be a racist. It is illegal to commit acts of fucking terror. And that's the difference.
A racist and he can do whatever he wants, but he was the one who was being a, you know, he was being a peaceful peaceful protester, right? And that's really what matters, is that if you're peacefully protesting, nobody should be throwing a bomb at you. And to the extent that, and think about it like this, right? Is that imagine that you have two groups of people. You have a peaceful protester, and you also have a terrorist that's trying to throw a bomb into a crowd of civilians. And more time is spent trying to trying to demonize and condemn the viewpoints of the peaceful protester than the person who threw the bomb. Do you really think that there is any form of justice, rationality, common sense, or anything with that at all? Absolutely fucking not. So, no, I totally reject this. I think that it's completely wrong. So, yeah. And racist is the only word used against whites. Yeah, these people are racist themselves. But you're debating feelings because words, not the words themselves.
Well, no. This is not debating feelings. Whoever said that's retarded. We are debating acknowledgement of pattern recognition and the fact that these motherfuckers enable it. They enable this destruction of our nation, of our great cities, of what used to be the crown jewel of the first world. So yeah, we might get a little bit heated about it, might get emotional about it, but the emotion is not what we're making the appeal to. Okay, it's the pattern recognition.
We're debating the feelings words cause, not the words themselves. Well, I'm debating really. I don't know exactly. Ratting here. Well, let me pull this up. So he's not downplaying it?
He is absolutely down. When he says there was when he says there was an attempt at violence, we're talking about a fucking terrorist attack, a Muslim terrorist attack inspired by ISIS, and he just calls it an attempt at violence. When before that, he was decrying the white supremacy in New York. That is objectively downplaying it.
Why do you think he didn't mention the fact that... Why do you think he didn't mention the fact that the person who threw the bomb said Allahu Akbar and was inspired by ISIS? And we're going to go through this because I don't know. Okay, let me ask you another question. If there was a Muslim protest and the person threw the bomb and they said white power and they were inspired by the KKK, do you think that he would have told people about what their motivations
I'm going to tell you the same shit that I was telling the JDA guy earlier. The fuck you going to come in here talking about gay-ass death battle for when we're talking about what's going on in New York? How the fuck is that on topic? Read the fucking room.
Do you think he would have mentioned that in his speech?
Yes, Less's games. Even liberals are getting fed up with this progressive logic. Because here's the dealio. Well, I don't like liberals, right? I don't like liberals. But I don't hate liberals like I hate leftists. I might not like your dumbass ideas of, oh, free healthcare for all. Let's tax the rich to give to the fucking poor. Because that's not how the world works. We can at least debate. And we can at least have different opinions and conversations about fucking policy. So I can at least respect a liberal, even if I find their policy retarded. Because they have an idea, a bad idea, but an idea of what they think will be a betterment for the country. They're wrong, but their heart's in the right place. Progressives are evil. Leftists are evil. They are out here to usurp what America actually is. These postmodern, neo-Marxist, evil cockroaches are out here to destroy this, and they are knowingly doing it because they hate what America stands for. So, liberals, Democrats, whatever, they might be retarded, misguided, but their heart's in the right place, and I can kind of appreciate that. So yeah, I can appreciate when liberals are actually getting fed up with progressive and leftists.
Not trying to read his mind? I'm asking you what you think. Like what do you think? 1,000%. Okay. So you've just acknowledged that there is a distinction where he is so why is it? What do you think the reason is that he's not he would be willing to call out a white supremacist but not willing to call out an Islamic terrorist? Why do you think that is?
Well, the real answer, again, is because he is a puppet for the New World Order, shadow government, Illuminati, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're not ready to have that conversation. I feel like Asmongold won't quite go down that rabbit hole. So, we can just say, oh, because he's trying to curry favor. Get it? Curry? See what I did there? I'm a fucking genius. He's trying to curry favor with his illegal Islamic infiltration base that got him elected so that they can, again, usurp America and turn into goddamn Iran. Yeah, this dude, there we go, votes. It's the short version of what I said.
Votes? You don't think that it has anything to do with the fact that he has the same identity as this person?
Well, they're
and
linked.
Also,
he has the same identity as this person, and he needs all these people with the same identity as him to get the votes so that these people with this identity can hold the majority of power.
Does that make it better? Does that make it better? I feel like that's just as bad. Yeah, isn't that just as bad? Yeah, isn't that just as bad? You don't think that there's any own group, no votes in power? Okay. Well, the fact is that I can't really... The thing is that, you know what the truth is? I'm right and I think you're right. I think that he's also doing it for votes, too. I think you're probably right about that. But I think to downplay the fact that, and also, he's drawing a connection to himself, etc. And it's what he didn't say. Yes, definitely. And also, you're not reading minds so much as judging actions. Actions speak louder than words. Yes, definitely. And Chatter ain't wrong. A white Democrat would have downplayed it as well. You know what? I think that's a great point. And you actually, that is a good point that you're doing. He just doesn't use the words that you want to hear. Well, no, but and also I think that there is a huge issue with this.
Yes, that's kind of the fucking point. The words I want to hear are pro-America fucking words. And every single thing that this monster spews is the antithesis to American values. So yeah, I'm a little upsetty spaghetti when one of the most renowned leaders of one of the most renowned cities in the most renowned fucking country in the world speaks the antithesis to our American cultures and values. Yeah, I'm a little upset spaghetti he's not saying the words I want to hear, because the words I want to hear don't have white supremacy in them whatsoever. This is New York City. There's no real white supremacy problem. I want to hear him condemn Muslim terrorism, and I want him to acknowledge that the dude said Allahu Akbar before multiple, before attempting to detonate a homemade fucking bomb.
Because also, like, if you let's use second order effect logic here. If losing votes would mean calling out Islamic terrorism, then that would mean anybody that's doing that would probably be a supporter of terrorism. That would be a problem in itself, right? And also, he isn't using the words I want to hear. I want to hear when a Muslim terrorist throws a bomb into an unarmed group of civilians, I want to hear that they are a Muslim terrorist and they should be sent to jail forever. That's what I want to hear.
Forever? You gonna use my tax dollars, even though taxation is theft, to pay for this dude to live forever? Fuck that! Old Yeller, homie. Back of the barn.
You're on TV. And if I don't hear that on TV, I don't want to hear a single fucking thing about the person who they threw the bomb at. That's the thing. And so if you want to talk about that, yeah, I do want to hear that. Absolutely. Because he's actively trying to misrepresent it. They're all politicians, man. I talk to their potential voters, all of them. I get it. I understand what you're saying. But at the end of the day, he is enabling terrorism. He's sweeping for terrorism. And I do think that there is an own group bias that's happening. Absolutely there is. And
you know that when his wife is fucking pegging him in the bedroom, she's calling him, oh, you're my little jihadi.
Even by your own admission, there's a second order own group bias that's happening, because you're implying that if he criticizes Islamic terrorism, Islamic people will not vote for him, which means that they are exhibiting an own group bias for terrorism too, which is still as big of a problem. So I see what you're saying, but I think you can hopefully see what I'm saying too about this. And it's a huge problem. If it was in reverse, Republicans would do the same. Well, I don't know about that. I have no idea.
If it was in reverse, what in reverse would Republicans do? Because actually, we can completely counteract that using a very simple, actual historical event. There's good people on both sides. That's been debunked over and over. When this did happen in reverse, even though it's actually not the equivalent because the white supremacists didn't commit anything near this sort of act of terror, Donald Trump completely and openly condemned all the acts of white supremacy, and the media still tried to run with the narrative that he said there was good people on both sides for a fucking decade. So no, you can't say that a Republican politician would do the same. We actively watched Donald Trump do the opposite of what Mamdani was doing, and the media still opted to lie about it. So get all the way off my cock with that shit. We got Michael Doberman, we're a 5-bagger coming in saying, been loving your streams lately. You've really upped your game. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. That's right. I've upped my game to what will probably get me kicked off this platform, but fuck it. I guess I'll be going back to IT at some point soon. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you, homie.
Idea. I think you have to think about it before. And you would want to hear a thing if it's a Christian terrorist threw a bomb into a crowd. Yeah. And all of them left, right, but we should call that out like you do.
Yes, the quote was exactly straight to the mail. And here's the dealio. I didn't even feel the need to say the whole quote because I know y'all are informed individuals and know the real quote. But you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it anyway. The quote was, there are good people on both sides, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists. I condemn that totally. Yes, correct. That's the full quote. Exactly. And those informed individuals have known that since 2017 when this happened.
I'll call it out every time. You know what? I don't like the way you said that, but I don't think that you're bringing up a point that's totally wrong. You're not going to get banned. So those idiots are captured by their narrative. They're not allowed to acknowledge any deviation. That's true, too. I wonder what...
Nah, some of them are captured by the narrative. Fair enough. Some of them are. But plenty of them aren't. Plenty of them know this is a lie. They know that this is propaganda, and they want it. They're actively helping perpetuate it. That's even worse than just the sheep moron idiots that fell for it.
The speech would have been like if the bomb killed any white supremacists. Well, I don't know, right? I mean, he probably would have still tried to downplay it. And so here's another part of it.
As alleged, both defendants have admitted that they acted on Saturday because of ISIS. As alleged, both defendants have admitted that they acted on Saturday because of ISIS.
Ooh,
As Kayumi
not a
was
good
being
place to
placed
be in.
into an NYPD vehicle following his arrest, a person in the crowd asked why he had done this. As shown on NYPD body-worn camera footage referenced in the complaint, Kayumi responded with ISIS.
Nope.
And at the precinct, after being advised of his Miranda rights and waiving those rights, Kayumi said in recorded post-arrest statements that he had watched ISIS propaganda on his phone and that his actions that day were partly inspired by ISIS.
Yeah, I mean, this is a literal person that got inspired by terrorism. It's pretty fucking simple, honestly. Seems obvious what happened.
The complaint
You know, I haven't even looked into it. It hadn't even crossed my mind to look into it. I wonder how Hassan's doing. I wonder how Hassan's handling all this right now.
also details statements made by Amir Balat after his arrest. En route to the NYPD precinct,
Michael Doman, for Spoon to lose his mind, he would have to have a mind.
Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured
Big
on
mistake.
body-worn camera footage.
No wonder the bomb didn't go off. These guys aren't good decision makers.
She said, this isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, we take action. As well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who has this viewpoint needs to be locked up. It's just that simple. Anybody who thinks...
Oh, dude, Adam Conover is a fucking moron. Adam Conover has gotten bulldozed on every single vaguely right-wing show that he's gone on. Dude, Adam Conover went on Joe Rogan years ago when Joe Rogan was still pretty much a fucking socialist, and he got steamrolled by Rogan even then. It was embarrassing. Yeah, I watched... I'm not even a huge Tim Pool fan, and I watched that episode of the Tim Pool show, of the Timcast, and Conover, or maybe it was the Culture War. I don't remember if it was the Culture War or Timcast. Either way, dude, Conover was steamrolled. The dude is a fucking moron. He pretty much refuses to go on right-wing shows at this point because he's been obliterated on every single one he's gone on.
That criticism of their religion is acceptable to be met with violence, needs to be locked up, deported, or removed from public society one way or another. It's not even a question.
Well as, if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it.
And you know what? Ain't that the goddamn truth? He's right. If it wasn't him, it would have been someone else. So remind me why the fuck we allow Muslims in this country at all. Just read their fucking book. It's inherently incompatible with American values, and I've changed my stance on this a lot. Man, you can go back 6 months ago, because I'll be honest, I haven't always held this opinion. Go back 6 months ago, me and Serrano were having to talk about this, and I was like, look, man, as long as they assimilate and partake and ingratiate themselves in American culture and actually assimilate, then yeah, by all means. I have come to realize that I was a fucking idiot, because their book is wholly incompatible with that. God, I was so naive.
And I think this is true. And there is a huge problem with this. People that think that you can't criticize their ideology, like whether it's, the ICE people, whether it's Islamic people, whether it's any of these people, any of this ideology is just completely unacceptable, period. And it's shocking to me that so many Americans don't want to call this out exactly for what it is. And we're starting to see a lot more of it happening, which I'm very happy about.
And later, after waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar. Now, die in your rage.
Kuffar, I think, is infidel, I'm pretty sure.
Rage is a commonly known
I thought Kuffar was the bad guy in Aladdin.
ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers.
Yeah.
He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even
I don't know what you're sorry about, Free Expression Warrior.
bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths.
I don't see why anybody's
Yes, Korean Cowboy. Okay. I don't know if you're correcting me or not, but I know it's Jafar. I was joking.
surprised by this. Yeah, this guy's he's just a super radicalized terrorist. That's obviously what happened.
These statements
You don't really need to say radicalized and terrorist in the same sentence. One kind of entails the other.
as set forth in the complaint make clear
Yeah.
that this was not random violence. This was a planned attack
Yes.
motivated by extremist ideology and inspired
And
by
the reality is that the FBI probably dropped the ball on this because they're not doing enough to monitor these people and actively take proactive action against them.
There's no probably. There's no probably. Here's, again, where Asmongold is absolutely incorrect. And, again, I don't think he's willing to go down this rabbit hole. Remind you guys, the Alex Jones was right, tip jars right there. The FBI is 100% compromised, and they have been since, like, the 60s. Actually, probably closer to the 40s. They're the ones that killed JFK, for example. Like, the idea that Trump could come in and whip the FBI into shape, no. No, the FBI is so deeply compromised. They are allowing this to happen. This is part of the New World Order agenda. The FBI, the other three-letter agencies, they are the enforcement arm of this global cabal that are basically cosplaying as the arm of the Republican Party and the president and whatnot. Law, order, peace, truth, justice, the American way, all that shit. But no, they are a rogue agency and need to be eradicated.
Like, the people that are going around making these bombs, doing this terrorist stuff, these people, I think, are probably trackable, and you can probably figure this out ahead of time. How did he get radicalized in the U.S.? I don't know. The thing is that there's a lot of, and I think that, like, why is it that a lot of young guys have this happen? Young guys.
No. Matt Stanford, it's deeper than that. The FBI doesn't just allow it because it justifies their existence. They allow it because this is part of one of the many steps to the global end game, which is a one world government. Like, I don't give a fuck how conspiratorial it sounds. Every single pattern that has been there, and it has been fulfilled, and this is how it is continuing to go. It's not just justifying their existence. It is literally a stepping stone to one world government. Oh, and in the public's eyes, I don't even know about that. I don't really think they care about the public's eyes because so much of it's hidden from the public.
I think get radicalized, whether it's by, white supremacy, whether it's by a gang, whether it's by, a religion, whether it's by another political stuff like the ICE.
Michael Doberman bred two-banger. I wish you were wrong. Me too, buddy. Me fucking too.
Stuff. Like, people get radicalized. I think it's primarily young men because young men don't really have a direction in the world and a place to fit in. And because of that, they look at the position they're in, they're unhappy about it, and so they lash out and they attack somebody because they're trying to fight back against the injustice that they think that they're being put on. That's really where I think it's happening from.
A preliminary U.S. military investigation indicates the Tomahawk missile that was hit the Iranian elementary school, leaving 175 people, mostly children, unalive, was launched by the United States. Sucks to suck. Casualties of war fucking happen. If the Iranian regime hadn't murdered 30,000 plus of their own people, probably wouldn't be in this situation. Look, again, it truly does suck, but casualties of war happen. Yep, exactly. Jada Warlock is what it is.
Social media rewards extremism? Yes. Americans have reached a level of acceptable tolerance. They're afraid if they call it out, they'll be met with more violence. They would rather have paper cuts than gashes. Americans don't realize they don't have to deal with either one. Yeah, I know. I didn't know the additional context, and assuming this mayor had information, then he absolutely should have acknowledged this as terrorism. Anybody who yells Allahu Akbar whenever they're throwing a bomb, that's an Islamic terrorist. Like, what are we talking about? Like 99.9%. This is like somebody saying white power. And
I mean, he says 99.9%, and I know only a Sith deals in absolutes, but fuck it, I'll go full Sith. It's probably 100%.
Then saying, is this a white supremacist? Well, we don't know.
a violent foreign terrorist organization.
Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like, it's like, this is the most obvious 2 + 2 = 4. Duh.
The complaint
But if you ask the postmodern neo-Marxist what 2 plus 2 equals, they will say that it's subjective and there is no reality, so 2 plus 2 could be anything.
alleges not only why the defendants acted, but how. Preliminary testing has determined that one of the devices contained triacetone triperoxide, or TATP, also commonly referred to as Mother of Satan, a highly volatile explosive that has been used in multiple terrorist attacks
Mother of
over
Satan.
the last decade.
Oh, boy.
As we have previously discussed, the NYPD
That's the
identified a
bomb.
vehicle yesterday on East End Avenue that
Yeah.
was linked to
You
the
can see the
defendants.
nails.
Inside that vehicle, investigators recovered handwritten notes referencing TATP explosive and
boy.
listing chemical ingredients for the type of explosive device used by the defendants on Saturday. Make no mistake.
Not good.
Exactly, Death on Strike. 2 plus 2 equals 22. They would find a way to make that work. In their fucked up, non-objective, everything is subjective minds. Oh, I think Audrey didn't like my answer. I ain't heard anything from him since.
Good.
What happened this weekend was incredibly
good
dangerous,
at all.
and the ongoing investigation will be exhaustive. From the first moments of that investigation, the NYPD has been working seamlessly with our federal partners.
See, what needs to happen, this is the problem, is that people like this don't exist in a vacuum. They exist inside of a network of a lot of other people that think and behave like they do. And the problem is that the government is very conservative about taking liberal
No. 2 plus 2 isn't racist. Jew plus Jew is racist.
and preventative action for people like this. And I think this is the reason why more people get blown up, and this is the reason why more people die. It's because they don't want to come out and say, you know, this behavior is not acceptable in any reason, and we're going to go after everybody who's corroborating with them and then put them all in jail. Like, anybody who's talking with somebody like this, anybody who is, involved with somebody like this needs to be put on a watch list. If you communicated with this person, you probably need to be brought up on a charge as, conspiracy, corroboration, cooperation with this. Like, we have to be Old Testament with this, because if we're not, these people will just continue to respawn. You have to actually remove them at a faster rate than they're being created. And the issue is that we're not doing that.
Many of whom
And we're never
have joined us
proactive.
here.
We are
In
never
particular, the
proactive with
FBI's
this, which
Joint
is a
Terrorism
huge
Task
mistake.
Force, which
It's
includes
a massive mistake.
And that is exactly why I don't give a fuck. In fact, I support the bombing of Iran. Because Asmongold's right. Historically speaking, we ain't ever been proactive. And so now, seeing Trump be very proactive, it's pretty fucking nice. And hey, you can go back and look at a myriad of my streams. I've been hella critical of the Trump regime. I have found the 2024, the Trump 2.0 up until recently to be a really kind of weak, dull, pussy administration. But after Maduro and now Iran, starting to come around. Would still really like to see some accountability for those goddamned Epstein files. But I'll take the small dubs where you can get them.
I'm unfortunately, I'm unfortunately expecting to see a lot more of this happening in the future, right? And don't you think that's purposely to keep people in groups together rather than together? No, I don't think so at all. Because if it's done purposely to keep them in a group together so they can all be monitored collectively, then what use is the group if they're still throwing the bombs?
Yes, I would also like to see H-1Bs finally be addressed properly. I absolutely agree.
Like, at that point, right? I mean, I feel like it's kind of a mistake to even say that. I don't think that's the case at all. So, according to CIA whistleblower, there are 8K confirmed terrorists that invaded during the Biden admin. I'd be surprised if it wasn't more, honestly. It seems like there's a lot of these.
Yeah, 8K, so 8,000 confirmed terrorists. I'd like to remind you guys that the lowball number for how many just illegal immigrants, this isn't counting ones that skated through legally, 11 million illegal immigrants. Tell me only 8,000 of those? Only 8,000? Nah. No, I bet the number much higher, son.
So, yeah, does it mean the killing is a problem, or the roots are already off the table? I think that's generally what I think is, that's definitely a huge problem. Yeah, you're right. And too many people are too comfortable. I think so, too. Should we just ban Islam and Muslim from Western world and force them to make their own prosperity?
Yes. Yes, we should. Full ban from the Western world. And honestly, potentially from planet Earth, but
Rather than compromise ours. I don't think that you should ban it completely, no, but I think that whenever you look at people that are part of a group that are in a, this is like a racial or a religious group, then you need to approach it as if it's a problem. I think that because Islam is a religion.
So, first of all, Asmongold's wrong. He is not radical enough. But let's focus on Les's Games comment. I'm still not convinced Trump isn't part of the agenda. This is his second term. It should be the I don't give a fuck term. But he's not making the changes in the right places. Feels like lip service. Now, on one hand, I actually agree with this. And on the other hand, I disagree. And I've been trying to reconcile this exact same thing. So I'm going to make a counter argument to you, Lesis. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Because like I said, I actually do partly agree. But I partly disagree. So here's my devil's advocate argument. And I want you to think about it and let me know what you think. And I mean this in good faith. What if it shouldn't be the I don't give a fuck term? Because think about it. MAGA is supposed to be a movement. The America First movement. It's not a Trump movement. It's supposed to be a philosophy and mentality that carries on afterwards. If Trump goes full I don't give a fuck, and he burns the bridges of a lot of the center that voted for him over Kamala, then the right-wing MAGA, whether it be J.D. Vance, whether it be Marco Rubio, whatever, he potentially burns their future for going even further. So you can make the argument that him doing this incremental stuff is slowly easing people into agreeing with his, with the MAGA agenda. If he goes full I don't give a fuck and he does it too fast and people get whiplash, it turns them against him. And the MAGA movement dies with him instead of having its spiritual successor, its inheritor, again, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, whoever it may be. So that would be my counter argument to him being part of the agenda. Curious what you think about that.
Religion, the government, and I think Americans in general are afraid to approach it from a aggressive perspective because they're worried about it being effectively a breakdown of freedom of speech. But the problem is that when somebody's religion is enabling them to be violent, whenever it's enabling them to blow things up, etc., this is something that
It's not enabling them, by the way. It is demanding them. It is part of their book, of their God. It is not just enabling, it is commanding. And that is exponentially worse.
Transcends religious freedom. This is something that obviously is a crime, and I think that's the main issue that's happening. And so, yeah, ban. I mean, a lot of people do want to see it banned, right? And I think that's probably, like, eventually, if things like this continue happening, here's the reality. There will be enough people that banning Islam and then effectively compromising the First Amendment will be on the table. And I know people might not imagine that. You might say, oh, there's no way that could ever.
Compromising the First Amendment is already on the table. It's already been happening. Look at what the internet has become. Look at the fact that people, we love to point to the UK, right? We love to point to Australia. People have been arrested for free speech here in America. Dude was put in prison for a fucking meme saying that Democrats can vote by text. Okay, there is already a war on free speech. And it is a war that I don't want to admit this because, again, I'm not black-pilled. I believe it or not, I'm not a black-pilled individual. I do think that we are going to win this. I do, despite how it sounds. But I also feel like we need to be realistic about it. It is a war that we are currently losing. Now, you can come up with all the old adages. This is going to get worse before it gets better. The night is always darkest just before the dawn. Things like that. And I believe in shit like that. I really do. But we also got to be realistic.
Happen. That could easily happen if you have 4 or 5 more of.
Makes sense. And I thought something similar. But if he did go balls to the walls, progressive would feel more like he's a fascist. But I'm just super fucking jaded on politicians. Can't shake the feeling we've been taking for another right. And again, I don't disagree with that. I'm like I said, it's something that I've been trying to reconcile. I don't know what is more likely. I mean, normally I would follow Occam's razor, right? Occam's razor, and the problem is both of these scenarios seem equally likely to me. There is no, at least that I can see, whichever way it goes, either Trump is actually part of the agenda and this is all part of the long game, or he's fighting it, but he has no choice but to fight it incrementally because you can't risk alienating everybody. They both seem so equally likely. I can't decide which one is on the edge over the other.
These bombings, what do you think average people are going to do whenever they see that all of these bombings are coming from the same groups of people? Think about how many of these trans shooters.
How dark is it going to get? Have you ever been to Harlem at midnight?
Have happened, and how that shifted people's perspective about trans people in general. This could easily happen. So this idea that, oh, well, it could never happen because it's in the Constitution. You can change the Constitution, and you can just also do something that's unconstitutional. The government has done it many times. So I don't want to see that happen. I don't think it's a good thing, but I think that people will take drastic action like that if this problem is not addressed. It's possible 1,000%. It is. America's Christian, and it is a Christian country. America is a Christian country. It's always been a Christian country. It's been.
Yep. America is a Christian country. He is objectively correct. And yet we are allowing people to usurp that country who actively preach about killing us. Look, say all you want about the Jews. They might want to control us. They might be real sneaky like with their tiny hats and lots of chest hair and stuff. But at least they're smart enough to not try and outright murder us in the streets. So you know what? We can play the long game with them and see who comes out on top in a battle of wits. But why are the people who actively preach about murdering us allowed here?
Founded on Christian values. This is obvious.
The Epstein files are my litmus test for this, and that's not looking good, but might be a long game. I'm not saying. I have a lot to say on that, but it would deviate too much. I've done a lot of covers on the Epstein files. I find the Epstein files to be the biggest stain on this regime. I find it to be the reason that even if, let's just best case scenario, if the Trump administration was doing it with their best, had the best intentions, let's say we grant all that, it was still so poorly done that it has, unless they make some good changes in the next year and a half or so, it has cost the right wing the midterms. Absolutely has. They fumbled the bag that bad. It is what it is. That is if I give the utmost grace to it. And frankly, no. I think there's a lot of fuckery happening with the Epstein files. I absolutely do. I think that Pam Bondi's speech, not really speech, but the way she was answering questions in that one setting is demonstrable proof of that. Pam Bondi, and this isn't to not blame Trump. I'm not just trying to throw everything on Pam Bondi, because again, dude in charge, the dude in charge. But Pam Bondi is arguably the sole most incompetent individual in his cabinet. Has cost the MAGA movement more than it will ever gain, or more than it could easily gain.
So I'm willing to cut my finger to do that, to speak. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But common people are sheep and they'll believe whatever the bullshit media feeds them. Yeah, but eventually it's kind of like with COVID. So this is the issue, like with what happened with COVID, is that when COVID happened, you had a lot of people who were effectively when COVID happened, you had a lot of people that were effectively just okay with going along with COVID restrictions. They were okay with it. And then at a certain point, it got so extreme that it broke the trust of the public completely. And
no, it didn't. It broke the trust with a lot of the public. I don't know if we can even say half. I don't know if we can say enough. We can say a lot. Other people still buy that shit hook, line, and fucking sinker.
I think that now the public doesn't trust.
I think Asmongold is actually being too charitable about how many people woke up after COVID.
The government on a very fundamental level. It's not something that's like in one level or another level. I think it's something that's complete. The fact that calling a terrorist attack has become controversial in the United States has told us how far we have fallen. This isn't a right or left issue. It's a literal terrorist attack where bombs were thrown by 2 ISIS-inspired Islamist men. Say it for what it is. Exactly. Well, they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide it because they want to downplay it. And I think that guy in chat was right that they're downplaying it for...
Agreed. Straight to the mail. By the way, excuse me, I can say shit like, I'm so fucking glad Trump bombed the shit out of Iran. That don't mean I trust the goddamn government, not in the fucking slightest. Two things can be true. I can be glad it happened and still not trust them shifty fuckers.
Votes, but they're also downplaying it for other reasons too. It's a sad realization, isn't it? And yeah, these guys also, keep in mind, these weren't 2 guys that were, like 2, sidelined poor people. These weren't socioeconomic factors that drew these guys to terrorism. They lived in $1 million, $2 million houses, or at least one of them did. So, I don't know if both of them lived in the same house. I have no idea. But, this is people that just got radicalized on the internet by radical, language and stuff like that. Pure insanity. There are no white people. I'm beige colored. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty close to white, but neither am I. You're right about
Sorry,
that.
Asmongold, I'm white.
And so, yeah, do you think the white guilt can be fixed? I think that it can be, yeah, but it'll take time. And I think that it has to start at an educational level. I think the problem is that basically people with anti-white sentiments have gotten inside of educational apparatuses and also media apparatuses. And
Oh, did Asmongold see the Yuri Bezmenov speech?
institutions, I guess you could say, it's a better word, institutions, and then they have co-opted them to create narratives that are detrimental to, anybody looking at a European identity in a positive way. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, who is this immigration helping? Who is this immigration in the best interest of? Because
I know that immigration is the friendly word, but let's call it what it is. Who is this invasion helping?
what I'm seeing is that it's very clearly not in the best interest of Americans. I'll tell you that. It seems extremely obvious that's the case. So that's it. No more allowed. I mean, I said this a long time ago, and I'm going to keep saying it.
Oh, he watched the Yuri interview 3 years ago on stream. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I wouldn't watch an Asmongold 3 years ago.
I will continue saying it. Why is it the same?
That came off sounding really sarcastic. I was being serious. Thank you for letting me know that. I wasn't sure. I didn't know that.
Religion, though? Well, I think that there are some, like, again, I'm reading the Quran, I'm going through it, I'm going to read through it, and, I can come back to you on that and give you maybe an answer. But the reality is that I think that there are probably structural reasons inside of Islam.
The funny thing, by the way, is I didn't even start watching Asmongold because of the political stuff. I started watching Asmongold because I got into World of Warcraft. I guess it actually was about 3 years ago now that I think about my time on YouTube. And I was told that he's the go-to guy for World of fucking Warcraft. Oh, how times have changed.
Why it's happening, and I think that there are cultural reasons why it's happening. I think that there might be a minority cultural reason, and I think also there is an acceptance of it. So basically, why is it that we have a bigger problem with this kind of stuff in places like Europe and America than they do in Islamic countries? I think that's the real question you have to ask, and as soon as you figure out the answer to that, you're going to know how to solve the problem here too. So that's what my opinion is.
China's Kung Fu robot.
That was an excellent video. Yeah, well done. Very well done. I think he was too fucking nice. But to be fair, not everyone can be as radical as your boy here. So, yeah, all in all, it was still a lot of great information. New York is cooked. Mamdani is one of the biggest threats to this country. And I feel like I need to explain this. I've explained this before. And no, it wasn't during the Warlords of Draenor era. I won't lie. I'm a filthy fucking casual. I didn't get in to WoW until the expansion before Dragonflight. I don't remember the name of it, but it was the expansion before Dragonflight. Anyway. Mamdani is arguably one of the most dangerous things to ever happen to this country because it was proof positive that this could happen to the rest of the country. If it worked with New York, if you could get an Islamist, pro-terrorist, Muslim, communist leader in the biggest city in our country, and the most famous city in the world, it can now happen anywhere else. It can happen in the small towns. It can happen in other big cities. It can happen in the red states. Like, that's... Mamdani himself might not necessarily be the most evil or worst thing, but what he symbolizes is. Oh, there's that comment, shrug, whatever. Joke wasn't funny anyway. Sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, they're absolutely trying in Texas. And in some places in Texas, they're winning. That's the terrifying part. In some places in Texas, they're fucking winning. Oh, Joe, they got auto-censored. My bad, homie. Sorry, I wish I had I wish I had something to say, but, you know, YouTube being fucking YouTube. Catch you later, Shield Wall. Hope you enjoyed being radicalized. Because I'm going to radicalize you some more. Billionaires want us homeless. Change the title a little bit. The New World Order wants us homeless.
Yeah, so why I go to my leasing office today to renew my lease and they was telling me how my rent is going to increase by like $600.
Ever wonder how much it costs to live in a camper? It's not as cheap as you might think.
And I do love this house. I love everything about this house. I've come to the realization that I can't stay here because I can't afford to.
You know, I live full-time in an RV and we're trying.
You know, when I say, you will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs, and you will be happy. I'm not fucking joking. I get the funny accent, you know, makes it sound a little kooky. This is their master fucking plan.
To get a new RV and they're just super expensive.
Call it a mobile home, call it a trailer, but either way, we're buying one.
People are buying storage sheds from Home Depot and converting them into homes. The billionaires have already bought those too.
I just got our rent renewal and it's going up by $300 a month. $300.
You know, it's funny. I got a text or a notification not too long ago about my lease renewal. Let's check it right now and see if it's going up. Check it right now live on stream. In one moment here. Because I haven't decided on my renewal yet. I've still got like 2 or 3 months before I have to renew, but they started putting the notifications on my phone. Let's see. No, mine's not going up. In fact, it looks like it's going down by $50. Wait, really? Shit. Alright. Looks like mine's actually going down by $50. Dope. Anyway, back to the matter at hand.
For a 1-bedroom apartment that is not updated in any sort of way. We already pay, with all the fees and everything, $2,000 a month. And now we're going to be paying $2,300 a month for this tiny apartment.
22.6 million renters in the US are now cost burdened, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their income just on housing and utilities. People are working 40, 50 hours a week, but half their paycheck is gone before they've even bought groceries, gas, or had any fun.
Even with my rent going down $50 when I renew this lease, this is the boat that I'm in. This is absolutely the boat that I'm in. Like, whether it was when I was working in IT, whether it was when I was, started doing this for a living, like, it's still effectively paycheck to fucking paycheck. It's wild to me because there's no bettering this. Like, there is in the idea that it's like, oh, I can do more content or do better content. Maybe you guys will super chat more, things like this. By the way, this is me asking for handouts or anything. I'm just trying to, illustrate this for you. Because no matter what increases, whether it be for me or any other individual, you can get better paying jobs, you can get more money. As long as the engineered cost of living continues to raise because it's all manufactured, we're all going to be stuck in the same loop. Because as George Carlin famously said, it's a big club, and we ain't in it.
So naturally, people start thinking, why am I paying someone else's mortgage? I should just buy a house. And that's where the next trap lies. The median single-family home hit over $400,000 in 2024. That's 5 times the median household income. To afford the monthly mortgage payment on that home, you need to earn at least $126,000 a year. Out of the 46 million.
Not to give away my finances or anything, but that is about triple what I make a year, give or take.
People who rent in the US, only 6 million of those people make that amount of money each year. That means mathematically 87.
Now, to be fair, that's an average. I live in the Midwest. Cost of living here is really fucking cheap, so I can't say too much.
Percent of renters will never own a home.
So I was just out on a walk right now, and check out these homes next to this path that I'm on. I was looking these homes up on Zillow, and you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $615, $625, $650 for these really tiny houses. I mean, they're not very big. You can see the properties they're sitting on are tiny, and yet people want $650,000 for these homes.
Might I remind you, in the last video we just watched, what did it open with? It opened with the fact that you had Muslim immigrants in multi-million-dollar mansions. Bio T-Wolf, stop fucking spamming. Appreciate it. Yeah. Muslim immigrants in multi-million-dollar mansions. And this is what we, the American fucking people, are stuck with.
What, 6.25% interest rates? No wonder nobody can afford anything.
According to NBC, in Q2 of 2025, investors bought 1/3 of all single-family homes sold. 1/3 of homes in a 3-month period. And now they're not just buying homes, they're building entire neighborhoods that you can never own. These are called built-to-rent communities. They look like your average subdivision, houses, driveways, backyards, but every single home is rental only. Built-to-rent now accounts for 9% of all new single-family construction in the US. Companies like Tricon, which is part of Blackstone's real estate portfolio, are building these in Texas, Arizona, South Carolina. Look at this, a 4-bedroom.
Texas, Arizona, and South Carolina. Bastions of right-wingism, so we're told. But nope. This commie shit is coming for them too. In fact, it's already there. And yes, Lessis, I was going to say the same thing. Of course it's Blackstone.
2.5 bath, 1,900 square feet in Texas with fees comes out to $2,911 a month.
Yeah, mind you, whether it's as simple as a $70 video game or your own fucking house, the concept, the playbook, it's all the same. You will not own it. You are a renter for life. You're not purchasing a video game for $70 or even $20 on sale. You're getting a license for it that can be revoked at any fucking time. Same with your fucking home.
They've got the cheap vinyl flooring, bathroom tile from the early 2000s, and a backyard the size of a shoebox. All for the low price of $3,000 a month. Their idea of solving the housing crisis is you will never own a house. You will rent a house instead of an apartment, but each year they'll still increase your rent.
Well, I can't afford my house anymore. My mortgage just went up. When I first purchased this house, it was $169,000. And with all of the insurance and stuff added in, my monthly payment was $1,450 a month. Then my mortgage goes up and they say, oh, the cost of materials have gone up. So in case anything happens to your house, we'd have to rebuild it. So the insurance has gone up. And then the value of the property went up. My payment went from $1,450 to $1,740. My mortgage is now $2,500 a month. So it went from...
That is astronomical. Again, when I say that this is, and frankly, you guys don't need to be told this. You're smart. How do I know you're smart? Well, you're fucking watching me. But is there anyone in this chat, anyone at all, and I ain't gonna judge you, it's fine, be honest with me, children. Is there anyone that doesn't believe that this is artificially manufactured?
$1,450 to now $2,500.
Mortgages are on the rise. Property taxes keep going up. I mean, look at this house in New Jersey. 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter home hasn't been updated. $750,000. Let's look at the property taxes. They jumped 93% from 2024 to 2025. The property tax bill is now over $20,000.
The property theft bill.
The insanity that used to be a down payment. After rent, utilities, car payment, and every other bill, how is anyone supposed to save up for a $750,000 starter home that comes with a $20,000 tax bill? They can't. And the reality is, for a lot of people who have bought, they're realizing that they can't afford it, so they're trying to sell. In Austin, Texas, 4.2% of homeowners are upside down. In Cape Coral, Florida, it's 7.8%. Foreclosures are up 14% from 2024. Sellers are removing their listings because they don't want to go below what they initially paid. We can see it on this listing. On Google Trends, Sell My House keeps trending, and a top related query is Sell My House fast.
An 80% change. So from look at the date here. From February 13, 2008 to February 26, 2026. So 18 years. In 18 years. So from the length of time it takes for you to have a child to that child getting kicked out the nest and going to college or what the fuck ever. 80% increase. You could have been a baby. You were born in 2008. Now you are in 2026. You just graduated high school. And your mom and pops are telling you, sorry, sport, we can't send you to college. We can't even afford the house anymore. Now, to be fair, I mean, obviously college is a scam. I'm not promoting college, but you get my point. You went from living your life, growing up, you're on the little league, man. You're playing baseball. You're a homo and you're acting in the school plays. You're riding around the neighborhood with your fucking friends. You're having homies over. 2008. I just see you've been a teenager in 2016 or so. Or no, would you be in no? Okay, so not 2016, but 2020. Like you've been 12 years old in 2020. The point is, like, you're growing up, your friends, whatever it may be, and now your parents are telling you the house you grew up in they have to sell. They can't afford anymore. 80% increase.
People aren't just casually listing their homes. They need out of their mortgage.
The economy got so bad, bro, we about to sell the house. The house is paid for, but there's still bills. There's still taxes. There's still maintenance on the house. The light bill was $450. The water bill this month was $250. And it ain't nothing but two of us in this house. Get a trailer, man. Go buy a little small land in Tennessee somewhere, man. We can't do this city shit no more, man. It's getting hard.
And if it's this bad for people who are...
What I don't get is that people are looking to sell and no one's buying. Why the price is going up? Because the government's been subsidizing that property. They are raising the property value. No one's buying it, so you've got property investment companies coming in. So you're not selling your house to another individual. You're selling the land, not the house, but you're selling the land to Oh, you were testing me. I like the way you think, Lessis. You were testing me. I appreciate you, motherfucker.
Still working? Imagine the people on a fixed income who have retired. If a senior bought a home for $200,000, paid it off over 30 years, and that home is now valued at $2 million, they owe taxes on a $2 million asset, even though they've never owned $2 million. They're on a fixed income, and when they can't pay, the state can and does foreclose. Adults over 65 are now the fastest growing homeless demographic in the country.
Congratulations on paying off your house. Thank you. I finally own my home. I love that for you. Now pay property taxes. For what? For owning the home. But I already paid for the home. Yes. That was for the structure. And the land? That's rented. For who? Us. For how long? Forever. And if I stop paying, we take the house. But I bought it. Correct. And now you maintain it for us. So this is renting. No. This is home ownership. So what did I actually buy? A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
For clarification, I'm not saying that guy was being stupid. That was the U.S. government, like calling us, the American people, stupid. Or you could say it was us calling the U.S. government stupid. It kind of works either way. The point is, doesn't that just break ya friggin' hot?
But if you can't afford a traditional home, there are alternatives.
Eliminate taxes? Homie, we need to go full Second Amendment on the entire goddamn United States government.
Modular or manufactured homes built in a factory. It's the next layer down in the funnel. For years, this was considered a real path to affordable home ownership. Today, over 20 million Americans live in manufactured homes. There were over 26,000 shipments in the first quarter of 2025 alone. That's up nearly 8% from 2024. But the average cost of a new manufactured home is now $109,000.
Honestly, I can't believe it's that low. Like, and how fucked up is it that $109,000 sounds low? I actually thought this probably would have been twice as much at the minimum, even with it being an average. Even when taking into account the vast disparity of costs of living throughout the entirety of the U.S. Because again, like I said, I live in a flyover fucking state. I live in Missouri. I live in the Midwest. Cheap as shit out here. Y'all want to know what I pay for rent a month? This 2-bedroom apartment? I'll tell you. $1,200. $1,200 for a 2-bed, 2-bath. Now, obviously, it includes certain things, trash services, free internet, but I don't use it. I pay for my own internet because I'm a goddamn streamer. I need good internet. Basically, everything's included except electric. $1,200. I can tell you right now, my very first apartment, which wasn't too dissimilar from this one, way back when I moved out on my own in like 2011, 2012, whatever year it was a 2-bed, 1-bath, $450 a month. It's 2012. That was 14 to 15 years ago. It was 2011 or 2012. Went from $450 a month to now $1,200. And I'm still one of the cheap ones compared to a lot of motherfuckers out there.
Multi-section homes, the larger one.
Leon, thoughts on Brittany Vinny saying her favorite movie is Bonnie and Clyde, Scarface, Eyes Wide Shut. I'll tell you my thoughts. I don't give a fuck. That's not what we're talking about right now.
Ones are on average $164,000. But that doesn't include land. You need somewhere to put it. And just like everything else,
okay. That's why that $109,000 seems so low. I didn't consider the land aspect. Don't I feel stupid?
Land prices are skyrocketing. Many people place their manufactured home on a rented lot. You own the home, but you rent the small plot of land underneath it. Just like how billionaires are buying up all the single-family homes, they're also buying these manufactured home lots. 23 private equity firms now own more than 1,900 manufactured home parks with over 400,000 land lots. They're becoming landlords, literally.
Paul Bojanic owns his manufactured home, but rents the lot it sits on in the Copper Sun 55 and up community. This summer, he got a notice.
Oh my God, I'm going to have...
The feds don't really want the land. I get what you're saying, that the feds want the land, but it's not the feds. It's the shadow government that controls the feds, right? This whole stream has talked a lot about the New World Order, the Illuminati, the One World Government, the World Economic Forum, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But again, the feds are just their enforcement arm. It's this evil fucking shadow government. And the shadow government gets what the shadow government wants.
A heart attack.
That his rent would be...
Oh, what year did I buy my current apartment? I mean, you don't really buy an apartment, you rent. But I started renting this particular apartment 2022, I believe. 2022, I think. It's right before I got married. Did I get married in 2022 or 2023? think I got married at the beginning of 2023. So yeah, I got this place this summer of 2022.
Increasing to market value from roughly $600 to over $1,100.
I couldn't believe the amount of money that it's gone up. I mean, we're a community of retirees, people with disabilities.
Moving a manufactured home costs between $5,000 and $15,000, with many of these homes being too old to actually move. So people become trapped. And when they can't pay and they need to leave, guess who buys their home? The same people who trapped them. According to investors, it's become...
Like, this is literally a mob-style racket, but legal. Because it's the government doing it instead of the fucking mafia. Like, it is the exact same tactics as organized crime mafia-style tactics. But it's legal because it's the fucking government doing it. You don't hate the government enough.
One of the highest returning assets in real estate because of one simple truth. People have nowhere else.
I gotta imagine it ain't too bad for 2020's apartment rent. Got lucky. No, like I said, I live in I live in one of the lowest cost of living states in the country. I am, like, as bad as it is here in terms of increase from when like 2011, 2012 when I first went out on my own, and it's bad in comparison. It is still notably better than in most other places of the country. Fourth lowest? Warlock, did you just check? Is Missouri the fourth lowest cost of living? Remember, I said one of the lowest. I don't know. I actually thought that like Mississippi or Alabama or something was the lowest. But yeah.
To go. But it gets worse. Clayton Homes controls over 50% of the manufactured home market, and they're owned by none other than Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. But
this evil motherfucker. And like, I don't want to get confused with no godless commie. I don't think being rich is evil. I don't. Dude, if you got the fucking money, you earned it, like you put in the elbow grease and shit, pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. If you're being Missouri's the sixth lowest. Okay, either way, 6 out of 50 ain't fucking bad. Anyway, like, yeah. I don't think that just by virtue of being rich you're evil. That's some commie bullshit. But I do think that you can be rich and be evil, obviously and absolutely, and that's what these people are.
Berkshire didn't just buy the factory, they've bought the entire pipeline. Clayton builds the homes, Vanderbilt Mortgage and 21st Mortgage, both Berkshire subsidiaries, finance the loan. Home First Agency, another...
Exactly, Matt. Having a metric fuck ton of money doesn't make you bad, it's what you do with it. And when you use it to lobby the government to artificially increase your wealth off of legal mafia tactics, that's evil.
Their subsidiary sells the insurance, and Berkshire has investments in companies that are buying the land underneath the homes. These people manufacture the home, they finance it, they insure it, and when people can't pay, they take it back. One company owns the entire life cycle from factory to foreclosure. The CFPB is currently suing Vanderbilt. They allege Vanderbilt handed out mortgages knowing people couldn't pay.
And you want to know where this... Now, I don't know if this is where it started. I was going to say you want to know where this started. I don't know if this is where it started. But if it's not where it started, it's where it rapidly increased. It was in the 90s under Bill Clinton. Now, again, it could go back further than that. And if it did, you smart individuals in the chat will let me know. But it at least, if not started, got exponentially worse in the 90s under Bill Clinton. Again, it was all by design. And it was actually lefty Leon liberal over here. It was done to target minorities. Like, don't get me wrong, it affects all of us. It affects us whitey now too. But it was done to target minorities. And it's just gotten worse.
One case, their own calculations showed a family of 5 would have $57 left in monthly income after the mortgage payment. Just $57, and they approved the loan anyway. So these people are going into debt for these homes, and look at what they're getting.
57. Now, I want to remind you guys, $57. Did you know that's about the cost? I will say maybe probably $35 at the cost. Okay, so yippee. You got $18 left over or whatever. It's about the cost, give or take, to feed a family of 4 at McDonald's these days. Go back just 20 fucking years. Could have fed a family of 4. I'm talking the full fucking meals, right? The quarter pounder with cheese. You get the soda, the large fry, the whole 9. For like $12. Now 30 something bucks. And these guys got 57 left over after paying their bills.
Let this be your daily reminder to never buy a Clayton home. They use what they apparently call conjoleum. They tried to tell us that it was an upgraded version of linoleum. So this is particle board. This is the floor, and I'll just show you. This is literally, like, look how thin that is.
Imagine being so excited to find your first home, and just months after moving in, it is covered in mold. It is a 2022 manufactured home, modular home, whatever you want to call it, a trailer. We went through Clayton Homes, and instantly we started having issues.
If you are considering getting a mobile home, please.
$15 in Anchorage, that's without tax. For 1 or for 4 people?
Please do not buy Clayton. This problem right here has been fixed 3 times. It's actively raining outside, like heavy thunderstorm.
Well, then it hasn't been fixed. But anyway.
And this is, I had to cut the power to my stove. Like, I can't even.
Okay, yeah, no. 1 person. $15 for 1 person. Let's see how much it is in my area. Let's take a gander. Pull up the McDonald's app. Just out of curiosity. Bitch, open up. McDonald's app just crashed on me. What the fuck? Let's take a look, see. Come on, load up McDonald's app. I ain't got all day. Order. Just do a regular quarter pounder cheese meal. See how much that is. All right. Quarter pounder with cheese. $10.09 for the meal. $10.09. It's fucking McDonald's. A 1-person meal is it's $10. And that's obviously that's before tax, right? Like, that's before tax. And yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, avoiding fast food, obviously. Yeah, it's disgusting. Like the pricing. Well, the food too, but you know what I mean.
Cook right now.
So I was contracted to work on this mobile home. I had to replace some of the vinyl. I was surprised at what's under the vinyl. There is no plywood. There's this cardboard. And under that cardboard is the insulation. And on the side of the insulation is the sheetrock. That's something. I've never seen a structure that you live in that didn't have OSB minimum on the exterior of the structure. This is some of the cheapest stuff. This is cheap. You're living in a cardboard house.
I'm not here to shame anyone for purchasing a manufactured home, but
I wouldn't. How would you know? How could you know? The idea that we are sold by the government that is lying to us. I don't blame anyone for it either. I blame you if you learn about it and you fucking defend it. But that's different.
I will shame this quality. People think they're buying an affordable housing option when in reality, just like so many products today, it's built as cheaply as possible and sold at the highest possible price. When owning a traditional home is out of reach, what's left? Social media calls it van life. We need to call van life what it actually is. It's displacement. Over 480,000 Americans now live in RVs full-time. That's double the 2021 figure.
And they romanticize it. Like, is this a psyop? There are people that romanticize van life. And I'm like, this has got to be a psyop. Who on God's green earth wants to actually live their life like this? I get it. There might be a few hippy-dippy people that think it's the greatest thing ever. But by and large, there's nobody that would actually be promoting this. Like, yeah, it's like Jay Warlock. It's a psyop.
And the crazy part,
And yeah, I lived in trailers for years as well. Trailers, apartments. Here's the dealio, man. I lived in a nice house from ages about 6 to 12. We had 6 years of that good life. Then, after that, trailers, apartments, and literal homelessness the entire rest of my life afterwards. Was born living in a duplex in a really shitty, fucked up town. About 6 years old, my mother illegally, she took out an illegal loan. Well, the loan was legal, but when you take out a loan for student loans and then you use it to buy or build a house, they use it to build a house. That's the illegal part. Use that to build a home. And we lived in that house for 6 years. So again, from ages 6 to 12. So I lived in a duplex from 0 to 6, and then 6 to 12 lived in a real nice house. And then from 12 to when I dropped out of school and ran away at 17, 16, lived in trailers and apartments. And then out of my car.
Used to be that manufactured home production outpaced RV production by 18%, but that's no longer the case. RV production now outpaces manufactured homes by a ratio of 4 to 1. And remember Berkshire Hathaway? They own Clayton Homes and the mortgage companies. Well, they also own 3 of the largest RV brands in the US. The pattern is simple. Make traditional homes unaffordable, buy up the alternatives, and then make those unaffordable as well. They understand that when rent is astronomical, we will look for alternative living solutions, and they've already bought them. And as a result, RV living is becoming more expensive than living in a house.
Most people I've met that live in RVs are either full-time, they travel to 2 to 4 spots throughout the year as a summer vacation home, and usually stay in a spot or two. So if you're talking to wealthy people that do that, yeah, that makes sense. But there is this growing movement. Now, how big it is and how real it is, that's the part that's up for debate. There's a growing movement of usually young people who are doing this, van life thing, this RV thing, as a way to what they think is cut costs and cut cost of living and go minimalist. But again, I'm under the belief that that's a psyop.
People keep asking me how much does it cost for us to live full-time up here in North Dakota in our RV. Rent cost is only $545 a month, and then we also have to pay for our trailer, which is part of our debt, which is $1,050 a month for that payment, and then my husband's truck payment is $1,000. Our insurance for both of our cars is $429, and our trailer insurance is $97. We also pay $60 for Wi-Fi. We pay $192 for our phones, and then $100 for subscriptions. Between food and gas, we're spending around $1,000 a month. We spend around $80 a month on laundry, which brings our total to $4,553 a month to live in.
Almost $5,000 a month. But people on social media are promoting this van life. How is this not a psyop?
This RV.
So after the truck payment, the RV payment, and various expenses, $4,500 to live in an RV. I don't know about you, but that does not sound very affordable to me. But it's only going to get worse. Equity Lifestyle Properties now owns more than 200 RV resorts and campgrounds across the US and Canada, over 91,000 sites. They're not building these campgrounds for families to go on vacation. They're building them because people have nowhere else to go. And this isn't me speculating, this is in their own SEC filings. We believe millennial and Gen Z demographic will contribute to our future long-term customer pipeline. They then go on to talk about a study, and the conclusion of the study was that demand from millennial and Gen Z would continue to outpace supply for manufactured home and RV communities. It then goes on to say, the entitlement process to develop new manufactured home and RV communities.
For us limeys, what's the average monthly take-home in America right now? Monthly? I don't know. I'm pretty sure yearly. Now, again, remember, the United States is huge. It is huge. So any average that you get is going to, when you actually break it down state to state, like you said, it's going to vary. Jay, I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's between 48 and 60,000. I could be wrong, but I think on average it's between 48, or maybe it's 42 and 60,000. Let's just chat GPT it. What is the average monthly? Because again, I was doing yearly. By the way, when I said 42 to 60, that was yearly. take-home pay in the U.S. after taxes? Whether you mean individual income or household income, but here are the most realistic. All right. Average U.S. salary is about... Okay, so the average U.S. salary is $72,000 for a year. Estimated take-home pay after taxes about $4,643 per month. The estimate includes typical deductions like federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and sometimes state taxes. Median worker, more typical person, median wage is about $1,194 per week, which is $62,000 a year. That equals to roughly $5,174 a month before taxes. After taxes, a typical worker would usually take home roughly $3,900 to $4,300 per month, depending on state and deductions. So, yeah, that's... Now, again, since this is an average, I can tell you that the state that I live in, it's notably lower. Like, when I was doing IT, and I was making, you know, $24 an hour, something like that, doing IT for a Fortune 500 company, after taxes, I was bringing in about $3,200 a month, probably, if I had to wager a guess. After taxes, it was probably about $3,200 a month. But that was still livable here because I live in a very low cost of living state.
Communities, it's extremely restrictive. As a result, there...
Yeah, right. Just about enough to cover the trailer woman's cost, and in some instances, not even enough to cover the trailer woman's cost. Exactly.
Have been limited new communities developed in our target demographic markets, meaning it's hard for other companies to develop communities, so therefore we have to live in theirs, and they are going to jack up the prices.
Come with us as two 19-year-olds turning a shed into our home.
Back here is where the bathroom is going to be. This is going to be the laundry room. Right here will be like the kitchen, the stove. I'm going to have like a little island. And then over here, the living room.
And this right here is actually a tiny home, tough shed from Home Depot, 2 stories, 860 square feet, 1 bedroom, full kitchen, full living room.
When everything becomes unaffordable, you get people buying storage sheds from Home Depot and converting them into homes.
We used to be a proper country where you could buy one of those and turn it into a fucking man cave. That way you could get away from the nagging wife in your 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. That way you and the wife and the kid and whatnot all had their own space and whatnot. Now to have a man cave, you need to literally just find a literal cave. Hope there's not a fucking bear in there.
That's how desperate things have gotten. Here's one on Home Depot's website right now. A build-it-yourself kit, 10 by 12 feet, $3,343. It's clearly a shed, but look at the description. The Windmere has shed DNA, but begs to be more than a storage shed. They know exactly who's buying these and what they're doing with them. And the reviews confirm...
The reason they know who's buying them, what they're doing for it, what they're doing with them, is because it's all manufactured. It is all part of their master plan. This is to gradually drive people towards the owning nothing and being happy mentality.
Permit. People are converting these into tiny homes, adding plumbing, electricity. It's the new affordable option. And they're now building these sheds to look more like house than shed. They come with windows and upstairs, siding, the works. Looking at this, it made me wonder, is private equity involved in the shed industry? And
the answer is yes. It's always yes. If you ask yourself, is private blank involved in blank? The answer is going to be yes.
I don't know why I thought the answer could be anything other than of course they are. Cyprium Partners made a $30 million investment in backyard products, and by 2017, their COO was bragging that they were producing more storage sheds than anyone in North America. And he specifically noted that accessory dwelling units were an emerging category. Even in 2017, they noticed people converting these sheds into living spaces and thought, let's capitalize on that. That Home Depot shed I just showed you, it's one of 7 brands owned by Backyard Products, the same company that received private equity backing. Billionaires are buying up every affordable housing alternative, things that arguably shouldn't even count as alternatives in the first place. So what are people supposed to do?
Bend over? Let the sandpapery cock of Uncle Sam just turn your guts inside out?
Homeless? No, because the Supreme Court made that illegal in 2024. So then it's the for-profit prisons, the $4 billion industry where private equity is already running the phones, the food, and the healthcare. That's the bottom of the funnel.
It's a place for someone to live in full time for months or years at a time, where they live in a recreational vehicle, in an RV. This is a business I've been in for about 7 years. They have very small RV parks out there that are 3 to...
Yeah, what do we actually do? We have the Second Amendment for a goddamn reason. That's what we actually do.
10 pad sites that are about 3 to 10 times more profitable than buying a single family home as a rental. So I don't understand why people buy single family homes, because like buying a small RV park costs the same, but is significantly more profitable.
And there it is, boys. And there it is.
Yeah, so why?
You will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs, and you will be happy. This was just... Again, you don't hate your own government enough. You don't. You don't hate the government enough. Ain't a left and right thing. This is the Uniparty. This is WEF. This is the Illuminati at work. I don't even know how people can deny it. They openly tell you all of this. It's just, again, she's pulled out the FCC filings and it was there. People just don't pay a fucking attention to it. Anyway, we've got more to go over. But I won't lie. Due to the fact that I've had literally no sleep, I've been drinking a lot of beverages. I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Y'all get a share stream. I'm muted. Welcome back, crew. Alrighty. Where are we at? Leon is a slur. He told me once. I am? Which one? Slur am I? There's a lot of slurs that I could be. Always run the psyop checklist. Yes, Domical, how are you pronounce that? My bad. Yeah. Always run the psyop checklist. Let's see. Nope, it'll leave my slur. I'm playing an Iro. I have no idea what that means. If you're shaking more than twice, you're playing with yourself. Yes, that is true. Cherry Paradise is the best slurs. Alrighty. Well, speaking of the best slurs, I won't lie, guys. The stream has been, it's been pretty heavy so far. Stream has been pretty heavy. So I figure we gotta lighten it up. So we're gonna check out Leaflet going over a debate that happened, honestly, quite a while ago on Tim Pool's show. Andrew Wilson versus Tim Pool. I love Leaflet and the way she analyzes debates. Obviously, her and I are both big Andrew Wilson fans. So let's see what you guys say about this.
Wait, the new Warren video? Why is the new Warren video, like, really good or something?
Whenever Tim Pool sits down with Andrew Wilson...
Oh, shit. Tim Pool, Andrew... Okay, you know what? You've piqued my interest. There's a Warren Smith video here with Tim Pool calls out Andrew Wilson. Oh, snap.
I'm actually familiar with this debate. I don't remember if I watched it live or watched it afterwards, but I do know the debate they're about to have here. So yeah, I can't wait to see. I'm actually more interested in Leaflet's breakdown than Warren's.
Whenever Tim Pool sits down with Andrew Wilson, it tends to get interesting.
Tim, you cannot both be me and you. You can only be you.
You don't know that.
Well, yeah, I do, because it would violate the law of non-contradiction.
So this is where I feel like you're running into a problem. You think you know God.
Well, actually, you can do this without God. If you just apply Rene Descartes, I think therefore I am, it would actually prove what Andrew is saying. But okay, let's keep going.
And Tim Pool claims that Andrew Wilson is an atheist.
Same thing here.
I think you're an atheist.
Okay, well, that makes no sense.
Making the best. You're making the best case argument for atheism I've ever heard.
Well,
what?
Guess what happens next?
God can do anything.
Well, most people wouldn't question that. Andrew Wilson does.
That's
now. If I recall, Tim is about to use the famous oh my goodness, what's it called? The omnipotence paradox. The omnipotence paradox is, can God create a stone so heavy he cannot lift it? There's actually a very easy answer to this question that most people who haven't studied philosophy get it wrong. But let's see where this goes. I'm pretty sure that's what it does.
that's incoherent.
It's not. Logic only exists within the confines of God's word. God's word is beyond your comprehension.
No, logic is a transcendental category. And since it's a transcendental category, we know it exists, even though it's not physical. But all things bind by it.
If everything could change at any time, the fabric of reality, God, well, how can we even have the laws of logic?
God's nature still has to be logical because...
Good. Okay, yeah. Andrew's going the correct philosophical direction with this. So, nearly all philosophers, and by the way, so let's break this down real quick so that, because obviously Andrew's coming at this... Well, actually, probably isn't. He's probably just coming at this from the philosophical angle. But almost all philosophers agree. First of all, when you say God, it doesn't mean any particular religion. God is just the greatest conceivable being, right? And almost all philosophers agree that God himself has to follow the laws of logic, because he created said laws. So when you ask what should be a technically logically impossible question, and then God has to abide by those laws, a lot of atheists or poor debaters or people who don't understand philosophy will say that negates God being all powerful because he has to follow the laws of logic. But that's not how philosophy works.
It's part of his nature. His ontology is logic.
So my point
God, you're saying God can make a burrito that's so big he can't eat it?
Okay, there it is. So yeah, I mean that's a different way to phrase it, but so it's usually phrased like this, can God create a stone that's too heavy to lift and then lift it? And the reason that's a trick question is because the answer doesn't actually matter. So you can go one of two ways. Most philosophers would say, God has to follow the laws of logic because he created said laws. So can he create a stone that is too heavy for him to lift and then lift it? And the answer is, well, no, because he has to follow his own laws of logic. But you could also go with the answer of, well, if God is omnipotent, then yes, he can. He doesn't have to abide by the laws of logic that he created because he is an omnipotent being. So can he create a stone that's too heavy to lift and then lift it? Yes, he can, because he doesn't have to abide by the laws because he's omnipotent and all powerful. So again, it's a trick question meant to stump people that doesn't actually matter with the way it's answered.
Of course.
What?
Postmodernists would like nothing more than for the laws of logic to be malleable, but they aren't. So how do we contend with this?
This is where I feel like you're running into a problem. You think you know God.
Tim Pool himself just made a claim about the nature of God.
God can do anything.
He could make a God more powerful than himself. He just made that argument.
And he cannot. Again, that's the philosophical definition of God, is the greatest conceivable being. So if something can come about that's greater, then that thing would be God.
God exists outside of the confines of this logic in which you think you exist. God is so far beyond you, you cannot comprehend this. To ask if God can lift a rock is asking like,
This is an interesting conversation,
it's a stupid.
Yeah, sorry, Leaflet, but it's not. Tim just has no idea what he's talking about.
Good question, because we are one trechigillionth of the universe, and you are presupposing God lives in your rules.
No, it's not. We don't know. Again, it is irrelevant. We actually, to say we don't know actually minimizes it. The answer is it is irrelevant.
Caller on the phone who asked an interesting question here.
Tim, do you think that God could be, instead of a supreme good, supreme evil?
God, as the creator of all things, is not going to be good nor evil. What?
No. As the creator of all things, he is also the creator of objective morality, and then whatever his will for objective, positive morals would be good. Tim is wrong again.
God is the good. Nothing makes that claim more clear than Scripture, if you're willing to appeal to Scripture.
Yeah.
You don't even need to appeal to Scripture, though. You can just appeal to, again, philosophy.
I'm not a Christian.
But, I mean, it would, okay, so...
Well, no. I'm not.
The thing is like, what you're saying, what you just said is, I understand the nature of God.
No.
I understand that this being who lives in this different dimension that I could never fathom.
I'm saying God
could neither be evil nor good. That's you making a declaration that you understand the nature of God.
Tim even goes to the point of claiming that Andrew Wilson is actually an atheist. Let's see what happens.
Because contradiction exists only within our reality.
No.
You cannot comprehend what exists outside of the
literally, the laws of logic do not actually exist physically in our reality. They're
correct. Again, Andrew is objectively correct here, because this isn't a religious argument. This is a philosophical argument. Now, I'm gonna be real. As much as I'm not really a fan of Tim Pool nowadays, he's pretty good at holding his own debates when it comes to political stuff. He is. He can, whether he's right or wrong is irrelevant. He's very good at debating hard reality. He is very sloppy when it comes to philosophy. Very sloppy.
Transcendental. They're transcendental categories. They govern our reality, but they don't exist.
Happy to do it, love it.
I mean, that's a big claim.
Okay, what? Well, this is all.
You're saying
this is
God
all Christian
has
dogma.
to follow these rules. Period.
No.
Once again, they're playing two different games here, but let's see what happens when you have this loose game.
This one's pretty
it's
crazy.
It's not really grounded in anything except what we can't know versus what we attempt to know.
Saying that there's a part of God's nature which he has shared with us as part of his nature, as the Logos. The Logos, part of it is logic.
He's claiming that God has made a part of his nature possible to understand. That's where we derive logic.
Andrew, like I said, it's a good debater. Don't let him debate anything about Star Wars. I couldn't care less about that.
From
only part.
Yeah, but that would mean that part of God's nature is to not violate logic.
Bingo, bango, bongo. This is philosophy 101. This is shit they teach you at entry level. I'm actually baffled that Tim doesn't know this.
Did God create this universe, or is this universe just a function of God?
God created the universe.
So God could change the rules?
Well, no, that would be illogical.
God could not change the rules of the universe.
No, it would,
I see what
it
he's
would
saying.
go
Okay.
contrary to. So it's like what you're asking me is this: what would it be like if fire wasn't hot? Well, now we've changed the fundamental reality of what fire is.
The laws of logic are embedded
makes
within
sense,
the very
yeah.
fabric of reality. That is
I
what
can
we
see how
strive to
that
live
would
in
be really
accordance with.
confusing now.
Humans saying, "I know the nature of God"
it's
is
kinda hard to
arrogance that
understand that.
defies the idea of what we know we are limited in thinking. That is, the average person thinks infinity is a number.
Yeah, but that
Wait, what? The average person thinks infinity is a number. Chat, do any, and if you think this, fair enough, because maybe I'm the idiot here. Do any of you think that infinity is a number? Like, I understood. Now, people can't, the human brain can't comprehend true infinity in terms of we can't rationalize it. But we can understand the concept of infinity. I understood the concept of infinity in 3rd grade when my mom told me about it. Again, how old are you in 3rd grade? Like 9? Something like that? I understood the concept of infinity at 9 years old. I've never considered infinity. So, yeah, everybody in chat is saying, holy shit, this does not make Tim look good.
Go to the average person.
That
and
makes
say,
no
what is it?
sense because all the things that you're saying right now and attributes.
Infinity literally means no ending. It's an endless loop, so it's not is correct. Exactly. Yes.
Are trying to define the nature of God.
Granted, we can't know any of.
No, infinity is not. No. Infinity is not a number. It's 1 plus everything. No, that's so. Numbers are infinite because you can always add 1. But infinity itself isn't a number. Infinity is a concept, and you can apply that concept to. You can apply numbers to that concept.
This all we can point to are.
It's something that we can
things that
infer,
have made
basically.
themselves available to us.
I'm expressing to you the biblical nature of God. What God expresses to us
You're making
is part
an
of his
atheist
nature.
argument to me.
It's not atheist.
It's the opposite.
It's
Well, pi is infinite, but infinity is not pi. Straight Sith male. Like, yeah, pi is a number that is infinite. 'Cause all numbers are infinite. But infinity isn't pi. You know, all squares are a rhombus, but not all rhombus are a square.
the opposite. It's dogma.
Atheists are the ones who argue to me that the universe is mathematical, logical, cold, and it is what it is. It is functions as such.
No, they're physicalists.
And
Well, hold on. They're not. Those aren't mutually exclusive. The universe can be mathematical and still be by intelligent design from outside the universe itself. Like a being outside of space-time had to create space-time, and when creating space-time can use mathematical equations to create the universe as is that we live in. Bro, Tim is getting wrecked here.
Einsteinian God, which is an atheist view, is the view that that God is a God of science and that exists as some form of the universe.
That wouldn't be an atheist.
Well, no, that it would say okay. Warren's got this. I'll just wait.
His view, because an atheist doesn't believe in God.
Yep.
Correct.
My view of God is that God exists beyond, and that our concepts of physics are just components of what God has created, and God is likely beyond our own perception and comprehension.
But you've said a bunch of things here that have entailments. God creates.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that for sure, right?
And in science, nothing
So
can be created.
if God, so hang on. So if God creates, and God was the first thing, then that means God was uncreated.
Yes.
Yeah. So if God was uncreated, and God created, now we know something about the nature of God.
Certainly.
Yeah, it's basically you can
Off topic, but Warren is dude. I've always thought Warren like an elf. I've always thought Warren looked like an elf. Absolutely.
You can
attempt to
infer
know the nature
the
of God.
Yeah. So this is my whole point.
you can infer the nature by By what we know.
So we could say the same thing,
By what we
right?
know
Same
and
thing
by-
here.
I'm not going to say Andrew Wilson's never lost a debate because I've never seen all of his debates. I can say I've never seen a debate he lost. I will definitely say I've never seen him lose a debate.
Well, we don't know.
Okay, well, that makes no
you're
sense.
making the
but
best. You are making the best case argument for atheism I've ever heard.
How?
That God is what we experience in the universe is what we would describe as God. It is the definition of everything atheists have ever argued.
To be fair to Tim, though, I'm just being real. This is a very complicated argument. Like it's.
But it's not. I'll be real. It's not a complicated argument. This is actually really basic shit.
It's kind of difficult.
Or maybe I just learned it very early because I went to school for philosophy and whatnot, and it seems basic to me. But I'm pretty sure this is basic.
To simulate this for a lot. Like, okay, people in general are already really bad at simulating, and this is a very like deep simulation, basically, in terms of like the complexity of it.
Argued to me.
Atheists claim there is no God. The opposite of everything Andrew is doing here.
I'm not even making arguments to you right now. All I'm doing is expressing to you
God
that
is not all powerful.
No, the opposite.
You said God can't create a boulder he cannot lift.
No.
Right. That doesn't negate him being all-powerful. If God created the laws of logic, he would then logically have to follow said laws he created. That doesn't mean he is not not all-powerful. Or again, you could make the argument that, okay, so he is all-powerful, and then he can negate his own laws of logic. Again, nothing about the nature of God changes regardless of which way the question is answered, and that's the point of the omnipotence paradox, is that it is a phony baloney paradox meant to try and stump people who believe in God when it's actually very easy.
Because
every single priest
do you know what,
and theologian I've talked to has said the opposite.
No.
No. Every theologian, and frankly, 99% of philosophers has said what Andrew is saying. Because this is, again, entry-level philosophy.
None of them.
I think the problem is sometimes Tim gets...
And maybe Tim's right. Maybe all the people he's talked to have said that because Tim only surrounds himself with people dumber than him so that he can be the smartest person in the room.
In a bit over his...
Yeah, Tim's clearly not seeing or read many philosophers. Yeah, dude, get Dr. William Lane Craig on your show, Tim. Get Dr. William Lane Craig on your show. He would fucking own you.
Ted.
Their dogma literally would prevent them from defying the nature of God. Not a single theologian on planet Earth who's a priest has ever said to you, Tim, God could create a God more powerful than him. That never happened.
No, they said
it's not possible.
Claim to understand the power of God is arrogance to assert that you know what God
I'm not
could or could
saying
not
what
do.
the power of God is.
You are attempting to live in accordance with the nature of God. Therefore, you are trying to understand the nature of God in some way.
Honestly, no shade to Warren, but I don't even think he's doing as good a job explaining this as just Andrew is on his own. Like, I get he's doing his best. And really, he's doing a fine enough job at breaking down what Tim is saying and why it's wrong. Andrew kind of just cooking on this. We don't really even need the Warren stuff.
That's absolute arrogance, according to Tim Pool.
I don't know exactly what the limits of all powerful are.
No, you're saying
All
that
I
this reality is a part of God and is what it is, and it's uncontradictory and unchanged.
No. Ignore that, Korean cowboy. Ignore the Bible completely. Everything that's being discussed by Andrew can exist in an agnostic, philosophical interpretation of God. You don't even need to bring in any specific religion or denomination of a religion. This can all be explained with just philosophical concepts outside of specific religions.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that the laws of logic, right? The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, the law of excluded middle.
And yeah, I forgot Leaflet was watching as well for a bit.
Are part of the nature of God. We know this because this is how God created everything and how God expressed to us he creates. So if that is the case, we can understand that that's part of God's nature. He will not defy his nature because it's his nature. Will not defy.
The nature of God as you described.
Okay, no, they're not. Okay, hold on. Dokumen, I don't think you're understanding. These paradox questions, when you say none of us know, that is incorrect. It's not that none of us know. It is that there is nothing to know. The questions are irrelevant. They're basically just tricks of language. We do know the answer because we can follow the logic. The logic is, can God create a taco so incredibly tasty that it is tasteless? The answer is no. He can't do that. However, if somebody tries to come at you with the opposite answer, which is, well, actually, he's all powerful, he's omnipotent, yes, he can, you could say, okay, then he's omnipotent and he can. Basically, regardless of what answer you give, it doesn't matter. It is a linguistic trick. It's not an actual paradox. There is no actual paradox. It's a linguistic trick that makes it sound like a paradox. But in all reality, if you follow the laws of logic, which 99% of philosophers and theologians all agree is part of God's nature, like what Andrew's arguing, then there actually is an answer, and the answer would be, no, he can't do that.
It is the universe.
No, it's not the universe. The universe had a creator.
Yes, and
that creator had to be uncreated.
So when he says uncreated, he means God was not created by anything else.
Correct. It's just always been there.
Logic is part of God's nature. You're saying that because the universe is also governed by logical rules, that means that it's part of God. That doesn't even follow.
You said that.
No, the opposite. I'm saying the opposite of that.
So God is illogical.
No, that doesn't even make sense either. What you're saying, all these things you say, they don't follow from one another.
I respect Tim's attempt to even try and have these conversations, and you're...
I don't respect Tim to have these conversations at all.
You're dealing with someone like Andrew Wilson who has taken the time to think about this. So
Andrew Wilson's like, when it comes to these kind of topics, like, and actually, now that I think about it, honestly, Andrew Wilson's probably not even the best person at this like specific like at this specific thing.
No, again, if you want who I at least think is the best, it's Dr. William Lane Craig. Dr. William Lane Craig, no shade to Andrew Wilson, but would run circles around him in this specific debate. He is the greatest theologian philosopher possibly of all time.
He argues more culture and politics than he does actually like even though so Andrew Wilson argues from
William Lane Craig. C-R-A-I-G, William Lane Craig.
From Christian ethics, but he doesn't necessarily argue Christianity as like his forte.
Well, to be fair, Leaflet, he's not arguing Christianity here. He's arguing philosophical, the philosophical logic of deities, or of the greatest deity. You can apply this logic outside of religion and just look at God as the concept of God, and the logic holds the same. So,
so like, there's actually other people that are better at this, but then Andrew Wilson is by base very good at making these kind of arguments.
No, L-Dub, you're objectively incorrect there. There's no byproduct. So, prior to the universe, there was nothing. Then God created everything. There's no byproduct. It's all intelligent design. So it was created by him.
Be very challenging.
So you have to back up to the beginning.
Yeah, so you said the logos, God, the logic, God is non-contradictory.
Yeah.
What God cannot create a boulder that he himself cannot lift.
Yeah,
that is illogical.
no, because it's against his nature.
What does that mean?
It means that you can't do things which defy your nature because otherwise you wouldn't be you.
Explain his nature.
I just did.
His nature is the logical... Again, his nature is the logic in which the way the universe is set up. It is that, like by extension of what this universe is, this world is, all of it, everything that we can logically entail, shows us his nature. That's why we have the laws of logic even if they're abstract and non-physical. You can still test logic. That is his nature. Exactly. Caravaggio gets it. Logic cannot contradict itself. It's against its own nature, which by default would be against God's nature, since God created everything, thereby created logic. Exactly.
And part of his nature is the logos and the law of logic. That's part of his nature.
That cannot be changed.
Now we have arrived at clarification.
Yeah, I suppose God could.
So L-Dub, I would recommend you look into Molinism and God's middle knowledge. It would be way too much to get into on this stream, but read up on Molinism and God's middle logic, and that will probably show you why you're wrong, but you're also not. You're on the right track, but your phrasing is. Okay, I'll put it this way. Your phrasing is objectively wrong. You're on the right track, but the words you're using are incongruent with what it actually is. So, like, I can't think of a nicer way of saying that, and I'm not trying to be a dick. But yeah, look into Molinism and God's middle logic, and that will, and that will answer it for you.
Could change his nature, but why you can't change your nature?
Or not God's middle logic, God's middle knowledge. I mean, sorry, God's middle Molinism and God's middle knowledge.
You wouldn't change your nature.
God can't change his nature.
You wouldn't change your nature. That's the right way to phrase it. You wouldn't change your nature.
Or can he not?
Could he?
Yes.
I don't know, but I don't think it matters because your nature is what matters.
So you agree with me?
Of course, Tim would walk away thinking he got the dub there. Holy shit.
No, I don't agree with you. What you're saying is antithetical to actual dogma.
He's trying to contend with these ideas and one-up them, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
But again, like, to be fair to Tim, this is a very complicated topic.
It's not, though. I get that Leaf is trying to say it is. I don't know why. And maybe, to be fair, maybe Leaf hasn't looked into it, so maybe she thinks it's complicated because it's also not something she's familiar with. Which is fine. I mean, different folk have different skill sets in different areas of debate and whatnot, but you know, to anyone that studied any basic theological philosophy, this is actually very entry-level stuff.
Like, this isn't like...
Interesting, and he's a smart guy. Just don't be surprised when there are flaws.
It is a very difficult topic, to be fair. That was a really good one. That one's pretty difficult. I think that sort of thing would go over a lot of people's heads, I think.
Yeah, good video. Good video by Leaf. I mean, again, she didn't really do a whole lot, but it definitely gave for a lot of good discussion on our side of things. So, I'll always look at that as a dub. Well done, Leafy girl. Alrighty. We got one more video. I don't know how long this video will take to get through. I don't know how long this will be. But like I said, we're going to be wrapping up a little bit early today because I got a place to be in an hour and a half. Another stream that I've never been on before that I'm excited for. But I saved the best for last. Well, maybe best is the wrong word. Visa forces Subscribestar to censor fictional content or die as a website for brand protection. More big company, big finance censorship for legal products telling you what you can and can't spend your own money on. Let's go ahead and do it like this. That way I don't cover up Chibi's beautiful face here.
Thousands of gamers, developers, content creators, and artists are about to lose their source of revenue overnight thanks to Subscribestar being forced to change their terms of service because of Visa and MasterCard payment.
And you know why they're doing it to Subscribestar? You know why they're doing it to Subscribestar? Because Subscribestar was the free speech alternative to Patreon. That's what it was. And being a free speech alternative is inherently labeled as right-wing. Now, obviously, Subscribestar is not actually right-wing. Is there anything right-wing about incest or rape, furry stuff, promotion of gore? Is any of that right-wing? No. It's just anti-censorship. It's pro-freedom, which is, you know, right-wing. They're coming after them specifically for political purposes using a think of the children argument.
Processors in general, all in the name of protecting their brand, protecting their brand image. And so they will stop you, a legal adult, from purchasing content that's legal, by the way, because they want to protect their brand. And so
it's not because they want to protect their brand. And I don't know if Chibi is saying that because he believes it. I don't know if he's just not willing to get into the weeds of it. But to protect their brand is an absolute lie. No one has ever in their fucking life said, I'm gonna cancel my Visa or my MasterCard because it allows me to purchase Playboy. That's never happened. This is a manipulation tactic to control what you spend your hard-earned money on to force a societal change. Brand protection is nothing but an excuse. Yes, correct, Matt. Nobody even thinks about Visa when they make a payment.
We have seen this song and dance time and time again. Once again, another site has fallen victim to payment processors meddling and censoring content. Now, before I go any further, please share this video, leave a like on this video for more people become aware of this, because this is some very important news to share with people. They need to be aware of this because there's a lot of people that use Subscribestar. There's a lot of content creators and artists that use, Subscribestar.
And those content creators that use Subscribestar, most of them are right-wing or right-wing coded, as the kids say these days. Why? Because people that believe in freedom, people that believe in an anti-censorship, are by and large more often to be libertarian at best, right-wing at worst.
That need to be aware of this situation, because this might come out of nowhere for a lot of people and hit them in the side of the face, and they'll be potentially without a source of income or money for a while, which would be very bad, obviously. It might cause them to go homeless, lose their job. Well, they'll lose their job if they're living off of art. So they'll lose their job, they'll go homeless, not be able to pay bills. Very bad situation. So,
No. Dad Otaku, I think that you're incorrect. I don't think most of them are NSFW. I think that a fair portion of them probably are. Most people that use Subscribestar are people that got burned by Patreon because Patreon effectively booted them off the platform for having politics they disagree with. Subscribestar didn't get its big boom until Patreon basically purged right-wingers.
Please like and share this video for more people become aware of it. Payment processors like Visa and MasterCard are back at it again with censorship of the internet, and this time they've set their sights on Subscribestar, which is an alternative site to Patreon. And before I get into this nuclear level bad news that came out a few hours ago, we need to talk about how we got here to begin with. So most of you may be well aware of payment processor meddling and censorship thanks to the...
I'll tell you how we got here. Little thing in 2014 called Gamergate, because all roads lead back to Gamergate.
Breaking news that happened last summer in 2025, where Steam and itch.io got effectively neutered and their balls cut off because of payment processors having so much power that they could wield to censor the internet at any given time. And Valve, aka Steam, was effectively unable to stop the overwhelming amount of censorship that payment processors was forcing onto them, to where Steam had to literally incorporate an entirely new policy, Policy 15, to say that they will bow down and kiss the boots of payment processors if they want them to remove a game, if they want them to censor a game or not allow a game on their platform. They will kiss the boots of Visa and MasterCard or payment processors in general just to be able to continue to operate as a platform. And what this more or less stated for the entire world to see last year is that Valve, that is a massive company that even right now is fighting class action lawsuits and many different people trying to sue them and is actively fighting back for gamers, decided to completely not even fight back remotely against payment processors.
So, well, it's not that they chose not to fight back. There was no avenue to do so. Because if this event taught us anything, and actually it didn't even start with Steam/Valve/itch.io, and I'm surprised Chibi of all people didn't bring this up. It actually started in mid to late 2024 when Visa and MasterCard were attacking manga, completely legal manga sites and apps in Japan. And then, this is about November of 2024, if I recall, because I covered it. You can check out the videos I did on my channel, even though they're pretty old. And then they moved their sites to itch.io and Valve afterwards. But anyway, this showed the world that Visa and MasterCard and all these payment processors, PayPal, are more powerful than any singular first world government. Why? Well, because the US government bows and kowtows to them. The UK bows and kowtows to them. Australia bows and kowtows to them. And so is Greece. So is Brazil, even though they're not necessarily first world, but you get my point. The point is everybody. Why? Because even all these first world governments send their money through Visa and PayPal. And if you watched my old videos on this that I did back in July and June and whatnot of 2025 when all this was going down, I even brought up on screen the people, the politicians that Visa and MasterCard donate to. This is a uniparty problem. Visa and MasterCard both donate heavily to both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. This is effectively a legal lobby to make sure that, at least in the U.S., but obviously we can assume, just based on the U.S., the whole first world governments the world over, they play both sides. That way, hey, if there's one thing that Democrats and Republicans in America are going to agree on, it's that if one company's giving them both money, they're both going to agree to do what that company says. So Valve has no recourse for fighting back because every single country, first world country at least, doesn't even have the power because they run everything they have through these payment processors. These payment processors are effectively the most powerful entities in the world.
That it decided to effectively say, we give up, we can't do anything, okay, we bow down, master, we will kiss your boots, master. That's basically what they did, which is very alarming. It really shows just...
Correct, Caravaggio. This is not about money. It's much darker than that. It is about forcing a societal change using your money because you can't live life without money.
The overwhelming power that these card companies have. And so when you look at like something like itch.io, that was obviously a relatively much smaller, site in comparison to Steam, they stood effectively no chance. Now, itch.io did make a public statement about this, last year, which I covered in a separate video, and they more or less tried to do their best to be able to be transparent and try to help out people that were making fictional content, games that would be deemed problematic by a lot of people, or in this case, deemed problematic by card companies. They still wanted do the best they could to be able to help these creators in any way they possibly could, which really showed that they cared and they were in a very bad situation. And the reason why, for instance, Itch and Steam even did this remotely to begin with is because payment processors control the money flow. For instance, if they cut you off, if they don't allow you to use, for instance, Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal, or whatever, you can't make any money. So think about it like this.
You can't make money. You can't spend money. You can't track money. You can't do you can't do anything.
You're a massive site. Your site is supposed to sell products. For instance, you put a game on your site, and obviously for a person to be able to make a purchase of a game, they have to use a card. Visa, for instance, or MasterCard, or PayPal. And if these companies basically say, screw you, we don't want to work with you anymore, then this site might go belly up in under 24 hours. Like,
not even might. Likely will. Steam, even as massive as a private company as Valve is, they would not have been able to survive this.
The cost of maintaining the server.
This is a big part of the BRICS idea, alternative financial services. Correct. Yes, it absolutely is.
And keeping these games on the platform or whatever would be very expensive, and these companies could not survive.
What else is there? When you say what else is there, do you mean what else is there in terms of payment processors? There are a few smaller independent payment processor companies, but because they're small and independent, most sites and whatnot don't support them, and even if they did, 99% of the world population isn't using them. So it's the equivalent of a fucking indie game that gets lost in the annals of Steam. Like, it's there, but you got a 2 concurrent player count.
if they don't have access to the main payment processing cards that most of the entire world actually uses. So because of this, these card companies are able to stranglehold the market, strangle you to death if you don't comply with them, and that's why they're able to get away with this, because they have an effective monopoly on the entire world and are able to get away with anything because nobody can really fight them. They control the entire cash flow. Now, with that being said, prior to all this happening and a lot of people within the mainstream becoming aware of this, the point of the matter is that this was happening even prior to that. And a lot of people might remember what happened back in 2017 and 2018 with Patreon. And this is where we get into the relevant stuff of what's going on with Subscribe Star that I started this video off with. So Patreon back in 2017, 2018, they had a massive exodus of content creators and artists from their platform because Patreon had to change the terms of service or they would be in a very similar situation as what happened to Steam and itch.io last year.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different. Patreon didn't do it, at least to my knowledge, to bow and kowtow to the payment processors. Patreon did it because they were bowing and kowtowing to leftist political pressure. They basically openly declared that they were a leftist company and they were actively going to engage in right-wing censorship. Now, if there was a payment processor angle to it, I didn't hear about it. I don't remember it. But I remember following this story very closely when it happened because it affected a lot of content creators that, you know, are still active today. I mean, we're definitely some of the big, you know, anti-SJW, anti-woke, anti-leftist, all that sort of stuff, you know, during the first Trump administration. So, I mean, maybe there's a payment processor angle, but most of it just was Patreon's a garbage leftist company that was actively participating in the techno-global censorship campaign against the right wing.
For instance, payment processors like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard were pulling out, and if Patreon didn't decide to remove problematic fictional content or content in general that, you know, doesn't go along with their brand, then, Patreon would die overnight. And so, because of this, Patreon took a lot of radical steps to ban problematic content creators or content that, you know, payment processors didn't approve of, and so it effectively neutered the platform, and a lot of artists and creators lost their potential revenue stream overnight, and so a lot of them tried to figure out alternatives, either by going through, like, different sites like Fanbox, like Pixiv, or they went to, you know, Subscribe Star, which is the main, you know, discussion point of this video, which I'm about to get into. But basically, Patreon started to become very censorship heavy. A lot of people didn't really want to interact with their platform anymore, and a lot of people that continued to use Patreon, what they did to get around this type of restrictions was to either, like, connect to a Discord server, to where you have to, you know, go to a Discord server to be able to view the content that's supposed to be posted on Patreon, but now you have to go to Discord to be able to access it, or they have some form of, like, different link to, like, a Google Drive or Megalink or whatever to be able to access this content because of the new restrictions and censorship that Patreon was now starting to use on their site. So it pretty much killed creative expression and freedom of expression within art and just content creators. And now in like 2026, you have content creators on the platform that could just get banned instantly for no reason. Just they're gone. And they're like, what? Like, I believe there was
I don't remember who it was. Like 2 or 3 days ago, I woke up to a content creator on X saying that overnight while they were sleeping, Patreon had just completely wiped their shit. Completely wiped them out overnight. There was no appeal process. There was no, like, they just woke up and their Patreon was gone. Patreon is still bowing and kowtowing to ideological bullshit from the left. I wish I remember what creator it was. I'd bring it up on X.
The content creator that did a video.
I think it was a cosplayer, in fact. I'm pretty sure it was a cosplayer I follow. Anyway.
Video like on a very controversial topic in terms of America when it comes to scandals and stuff, and they literally got their entire account nuked in literally one day after being a part of the platform for like a decade plus, and they've made a lot of controversial content.
Or maybe it was a VTuber. That doesn't matter.
content, it's very obvious kind of what's going on, and Patreon has become very sanitized and safe to be able to bow down to card companies. And so now we get into this situation with what's happening with Subscribestar. So Subscribestar is a very interesting platform because obviously it is an alternative. It is a straight up alternative to Patreon, and this is where a lot of content creators that got removed from Patreon went to this site to be able to survive and be able to make money, to be able to continue being an artist. You get the point. And the very interesting part about Subscribestar Adult, as you can see here by the icon, to even be able to access this, by the way, you have to identify yourself with ID. Like, straight up, I'm just going to let you know. To be able to access this part of this site, you actually have to either do a face scan or give over your governmental ID just to be able to see what's on this site. And
it doesn't end, boys. It never ends. This goes back to everything we've been talking about during this stream. This is how the New World Order, the Illuminati, the WEF, whatever it be, this is how they take control. They want everything, every piece of biometric data. You are the product. Tyler Oliveira had his Patreon shit. Maybe it's Tyler Oliveira I'm thinking of. I could swear it was like a cosplayer or VTuber. Maybe it was Tyler Oliveira that I'm thinking of. Anyway, this is the ultimate vie for control. And it's something that is almost impossible to fight against. Because the think of the children argument is such a strong argument to fucking idiots who value safety over freedom. Without acknowledging that, or even considering the possibility that, why would their government want to keep them safe? You're a nameless, faceless number to them. You're a line of code in the Matrix.
if you do not, you can't access it. And so what I'm trying to say here is prior to this change in compliance that it's very obvious payment processors are trying to do to them, you already had to basically admit that you're an adult. So what these card companies are more or less saying is that they don't want adults being able to look at adult content. They think it's a brand risk.
And again, it is not a brand risk. Like, I want Shiwi to be smarter than this, because this is a classic case of he's right about the outcome, but he's wrong about the reasoning. The brand risk is a cover. It's a facade.
Just like, look, nobody when they're purchasing anything, purchasing any content with their credit card, debit card, or whatever, is thinking about that card company. The only thing they're thinking of is, can I use my money? Am I allowed to use my money? Or I want to make this purchase. That's basically it. Like, they want to use their money in their bank to be able to make a purchase. They're not thinking about, oh, how is Visa going to feel about this? How is PayPal going to feel about this? How is MasterCard going to feel about me buying?
Yes. Hey, okay, hold on. So he gets it. He does get it. That people aren't thinking about what's, MasterCard going to think, what's Visa going to think, what's PayPal. So if people aren't thinking about it, and Visa and MasterCard and PayPal know that people aren't thinking about it, then it doesn't logically hold up that it would be a brand risk. It only logically holds up that that would be a cover story.
They have no business even caring at all about what you purchase. If it's a legal purchase, legal in your country.
I think they're trying to get all the adults to mark themselves as adults so they can spy on unmarked users. No. They spy on us already. If you got a fucking, listening device in your house, or even your own cell phone, they're listening to us already. This isn't about spying on us. They're already spying on us. Edward Snowden proved that years ago. No, this is about controlling you. This is about getting your biometric data so that you can be controlled. Your identity is currency, and this is about them taking over. This is playbook for the one world government.
There should be nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And that
you can paint over your phone camera all you want. That speaker's still there.
That's the big issue here, is that these companies are strangleholding the market and slowly killing off any form of creative expression by being very tyrannical.
Okay, again, Nacho. Kids, adults, it doesn't matter. If you have a cell phone, you're being spied on. There's a whole lot of 12-year-olds out there with cell phones. The age is irrelevant. It's not about spying. They've been spying on us since the NSA was invented. All people, all races, all countries, all sexual orientations, all religions, all ages. You're overcomplicating it when you're saying that the spying has been exposed for years now. The Patriot Act made spying on anyone and everyone basically fully fucking legal. This is about now, since the spying happened first, so the control could happen later, and now we're in the control phase.
Puritan and trying to sanitize everything they possibly can. And obviously, when you look at the stuff that's now in the terms of service that's being added for Subscribe Star, a lot of people are going to twist their, noses and be like, ew, why would you want to see this type of stuff? Why would you want this and all that? But here's the big thing that I've been saying for a very long time. Even if you don't like this content, like you absolutely hate this content and fictional media and stuff like that, the point of the matter is that it does not just stop at that. It doesn't. Look at the current state of Patreon. You can do vanilla content, random vanilla content, fictional content, and it's removed. The point here is that it starts off with extreme stuff, or stuff that might be deemed extreme, and then it slowly tumbles down the hill.
And it's not even slow at this point. It used to be slow. We used to call it the slippery slope. Frankly, I don't ever want to hear the term slippery slope again. It's just a fucking drop off a cliff.
And becomes much worse. That is what I've always talked about, and that's exactly what's happening here. So a lot of artists are effectively about to lose any form of money and be able to even survive being an artist, not being able to survive being an artist, on the platform because of these changes. Because like I said, a lot of people that left Patreon went to the site to be able to survive. So it's just fundamentally horrendous news. And I guess I need to talk about the other elephant in the room. They added a big section about compliance with payment processors, so we know who's behind it again. And this is a big indication. This is a very big indication on who is causing this, because this is the exact same thing that happened to Patreon. This is the exact same thing that happened with, like, for instance, DL site and a bunch of other Japanese sites. This is the same thing that happened with Steam and itch.io. It is a common, reoccurring thing. When you see these terms of service change and add in compliance with payment processors, it's very obvious who's pushing this behind the scenes. And it's
very obvious that they control every single first world government, or not necessarily control, but at least have more power than them, because you see the same thing happening in Japan, Australia, the US, the UK. If these payment processors have the power to affect all these companies, or all these countries' governments, and all these governments bow and kowtow to them, then who's actually in control?
This isn't necessarily Subscribe Star trying to do it, it's payment processors strong-arming them, and if they don't, they're dead. Their entire site just straight up dies. And so you can understand why they're doing this, because they can't fight back. And I would like to reinstate this. If someone like Steam can't fight back, it's fucking over. Like, none of these littler sites can even fight back. So, the big point here is what's going to happen now, as a lot of these artists are either going to try to continue to stay on this platform, but then get banned, and then they're going to freak out, and then they're going to try to move somewhere else, which either might be probably Fanbox or Pixiv to some degree, or some other site that's yet to be created. But what's going to happen here is a lot of people are going to shift their content away from this site, a lot of people are going to lose their accounts, and potentially...
And then Subscribe Star might just die anyway, because people already left Patreon for Subscribe Star. So we know these people are willing to leave a site if it's not meeting their needs. So now when all these people leave Subscribe Star, well, Subscribe Star's got no one left, it dies too.
Never make art or content again. It's legitimately just heartbreaking and sad to see, because I've already seen a lot of artists talk about the situation, a lot of game creators as well, absolutely devastated by this news, because it puts a lot of people at risk. And like I continuously have said, it doesn't just stop at the content you dislike, the icky content that you hate. It gets worse.
Dinjay Jr. just right in the comments. I already deleted my account on Subscribe Star. Bingo, bango, bongo. Just proving your boy's point. Shout out. Thank you.
It will continue. And so, if you are a true person that wants to defend...
How can a new free speech competitor come up to replace Subscribe Star if they just get hit with the same... Exactly, Lessus. Right. Alright. So the US government tried cracking down on free speech. It didn't work. So now instead of going to the government, they're appealing to the even bigger fish. How do you fight that? That's the question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that one.
Fictional content, you have to understand you got to defend content that you personally dislike as well. But the issue here is if you advocate for the censorship of content you deem icky or problematic in fictional content, eventually that stuff will start to trickle on down to other stuff that you actually do care about and you do like. And the people that already been censored won't be there to back you up because they've already been long gone and censored and they won't speak up for you anymore. And this is what's happened with Patreon. It's what's happened with other sites and stuff. So it's more or less, it's not good. And that's my big argument here, because a lot of people don't understand this. To actually defend freedom of expression with an artwork and content like this, to create stuff like with art, you have to understand you have to defend the stuff that you dislike, the stuff that you don't like as well, because if you allow that to be censored, eventually you will be censored as well. Now, as for what Subscribe Star is going to do, what their options are available to them, there is a few. First off, compliance, which it's clear that's what they're doing, but the other option is to try to fight back, which probably is not going to really do anything at all because of how much power these card companies have, and if Steam is not fighting back, Subscribe Star is 100% not fighting back. And then the other option is that they comply, but what they try to do is they try to make their own payment processor, which a lot of Japanese sites are trying to do now, thanks to the overwhelming amount of power that these payment processors have.
Yeah, but that's not viable. I mean, it'd be great in theory, but the amount of time and money and everything it takes to start your own payment processor, I mean, it is such a massive effort for very little payoff because most people don't even know about this happening. It's pretty much a lost battle out the gates. I hate saying it. And no, I hope I'm wrong. It'd be great if I was wrong, but I don't think it's viable.
And MasterCard, for example, against the Japanese sites. So that is a way that they could fight back, but most likely the main course of action they're going to do, they're going to play it safe, they're going to more or less be very overzealous with their censorship and become the next Patreon, and a lot of creators are going to lose their jobs, money, and revenue overnight, and they're going to flee to another site that might house them for the time being, until eventually they're also targeted by payment processors.
Exactly.
It's only a matter of time, which is,
Riot's even nicer than what I would suggest, Kamchi Kamichi.
depressing. It's really depressing to say that, but it's the truth. So, with that being said, I just wanted to bring this news to everybody's attention. Please share this around, let more people become aware of it, because there is a lot of content creators that have no idea probably that this is happening, and so please let them know, let them see this video, let them know about what's happening, because it is very important. A lot of people are about to lose their jobs. So, be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.
And that is that. That tells you all you need to know. There is the link. Put it in chat. Make sure to give it a like, sub, the whole nine. This is one of the few times where, like, again, I don't know how to fight this. This is, someone in chat said a game of whack-a-mole. And since they're more powerful than all these world governments combined, how do you fight against it? I mean, Donald Trump introduced legislation in the form of an executive order several months ago. I don't know that that's passed. It's a nice thought, but it only really protects U.S. users, and there's honestly loopholes to it, and I called them out, so it doesn't really work the way a lot of people think it works. So, we're just going to have to see where this goes, and I don't know. I hate saying it, but I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to have the answers or talk about something I don't know about. I'm just going to hope it works out. With that being said, that's the end for me today, guys. I have another stream to be to in an hour. I'm going to go ahead and set the raid into that stream. I know it doesn't start for an hour, but here's what I want you to do. I'm going to tell you guys what it's about. First of all, it's my boy Mike Hollow. Mike Hollow is an incredible content creator if you've never seen him. He is one of my boys, dude. He's been on my show several times. I've never been on his show. It'll be a first. So I'd love for you guys to show up and support me on his show. We're going to be talking about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about Brittany Vitti's dumbass article. It's going to be me, him, and another dude. We're all going to be debating. It's going to be a pretty heavy debate stream. I'm talking about Brittany Vitti's dumbass anime anti-men article. We're also going to be debating the censorship in the upcoming Fatal Frame game and potential censorship in the upcoming Dead or Alive games. So if you want to hear about, if you want some misogyny and anti-censorship arguments, then it'll be the place to be. Stream starting in exactly an hour. I'm gonna start the raid right now. I'm setting up the raid, and we're gonna end the stream. So give me one moment to get that raid set up. Weaver Sweeney says where? Well, again, the channel that I raid to, Mike Hollow. But that's the name of it, Mike Hollow. There's a new DOA coming. There is new DOA coming, and the initial trailer, while it's just a teaser, pretty good. Pretty good. Thing is, you know, are we holding our breath? So, yeah, very, very interesting times we live in. So I got the raid set up. I'm going to check out here. Thank you guys so much for those of you that donated. Thank you so much for just killing it on the stream. I know this is a rough one. I will see you guys in just under an hour on Mike Hollow. Drop in early, give it a like, say Vital Idol Raid, and then be there when the show starts. And we out here like 4 circles. Shout out. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow for another episode of The Lunch Hour.